No,
Yo, what's up, everybody?
early episode. We got an early episode today.
I like the early episodes. Only, I guess I thought it muted these guys, but it isn't. Okay, how you doing, everybody? Sorry for the audio interruption there.
Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 114 of Jump Street Podcast. We have a very special, very special guest for this episode. He was in the first video I ever saw. He's one of the biggest personalities in rollerblading and skating and gone on to do so much other cool stuff. So I'm very excited to talk to him today and get into everything. So thank you for joining us, everyone who was able to make it live for this early show. But as always, first, we got to start with a bit of my spiel. Please, everyone, if you don't already, follow us on all of our social media platforms. We have a Facebook. You can give us a like. YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, share. All these interactions really help with the algorithm. There's an iTunes. You can give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. You can leave a review. And we also have a Patreon. You can be a Patreon for as little as $3 a month. And in our Patreons, we do section reviews with some of our guests. We do Inside Outs, which are trick tips. Austin just put up a new one a few weeks back with how to skate coping. And I have one with the zero fish. And we got some more stuff coming out as well. And we just try to do new content. We have 3 pieces. So yeah, check that out. If you want to be a Patreon, a member of our Patreon community, it's $3 a month. And every month we do a giveaway for our Patreons. We do a random selection. And if you get selected, you get to pick something for free from our online store. So that is my spiel.
Oh no, I lost myself.
Oh, you're gone.
No, that's me stupid. I want to give a shout out to our Patreon supporters for this week. We have a ton of them. I'm trying to split it up because I don't want to be listing a bunch of names for all you. So we're taking them piece by piece. This week, I want to give a special shout out to Michael Carlson, Dustin Wynn, Travis Bolton, Neil Coleman, Matthew Strang, Cody Hayes, Dave Quist, Jackson Rowe, Ryan Reeves, Peter Peleo, and we want to give a special shout out to Chris Deester, who donated a couple donations to our PayPal account in the last few weeks. And Chris, if you're out there, I tried emailing your PayPal. I tried emailing you through your Patreon, since you're a Patreon supporter as well, and nothing back. So if you're watching this or listening to this, please reach out to us. We wanna bless you with some Jump Street stuff, at least for your generous contributions. So thank you to everybody for being a Patreon supporter. Oh yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff on there. Should we do?
We also have the Blade calendar, and I got a bit of a spiel to go with that.
Go for it.
So the Blade calendar team is based in NYC, promoting events in the US and overseas via submissions. Info and updates on blading events, camps, comps, local sessions, and more are posted on our IG weekly. Full calendar access is available on www.bladecalendar.com for the calendar year. Choose all or specific events to sync from the website directly to your phone. Contact Blade Calendar via email or Instagram to promote an event. Instagram @Blade_calendar, and the website is www.bladecalendar.com. So yeah, check that out. Blade Calendar doing some cool things for the skate community. And
cool way to stay up to date with everything.
Awesome.
In case you forget what's happening this weekend, check out Blade Calendar. You'll find an event, hopefully in your area. Well, that being said, before we get into our WTF, I want to give a quick shout out to the homie Miguel Jacob, who blessed me with this shirt at Get Rolling. He is putting together a bunch of cool products. He did the graphic designs, motion graphics and stuff for Jump Street Podcast. He also has done for the Ricardo Lino YouTube channel. He did that intro as well. So very talented guy. Is really cool shirt out for guys and girls. If you're interested, check it out at bigrods.net or on Instagram at GetRolling. Check it out. Should we do the WTF? Should we just get into that? Because I know it's juicy.
Yeah, you know, I kind of want to give an intro to the WTF and a shout out to Ben Magaziner and Selwyn Briggs, because we talked about this clip previously on Jump Street multiple times. It was a session when the USD team went to Philadelphia, and they were there with everyone. Like, it was Dustin Latimer, Dominic Sagona, Jeff Reddick was there, Josh Petty, like a lot of the old OG USD guys. But Joe Navin was there, and the battery was dead on his camera. So these guys were just like ripping regardless. And they had one thing that they skated. It was from the top of the stairs, these 2 2x4s that went down to the top of a barrier at a Temple or Cecil. And then it went to a down rail, like a 15-stair down rail, like the famous one.
A drop down rail too.
But as we were talking about on the episode, when they were rolling down it, like the 2x4s had 1 foot on each and it was bending, But we noticed when we found the clip that it also like went down and dropped back on like the second barrier because there was like two barriers and like the 2x4s rolled down and clipped on the other barrier. And it's pretty cool that we have it's actually Dustin Latimer. We have the Dustin Latimer clip that we found. So it's like a throwback WTF of the week. But it's really cool because also we got Brooke on here, who was obviously the founder of England, who had, Dustin Latimer on so it's a pretty cool connection there too.
Yeah, so check it out, WTF featuring Dustin Latimer. And that is, you described that like a few times on the show, and I didn't picture it being this crazy at all. Let me slow this down. Yeah. It legit comes from the top of the stairs above it. I didn't picture that at all being that crazy.
Can you roll it up a little more? Okay, so reverse it a little more, like right to the top. Someone's standing on the 2x4s. They're bending. I think it's SK because he like went and back torqued that too with the grab. So that might be SK. Someone's standing on the 2x4s. They're bending as they roll down, but they're not touching the bottom thing yet. They hit the bottom thing. And then, he comes off to royale it. So maybe if we could show that one more time, like in full, that would be super cool.
Whose idea was that? Were you there that day, Billy?
Yeah, there was just a barrier in front of the rail. Like that barrier, like the wood C was like crossed over, and they had a barrier in front of it. So they just it was a construction site. See all like the pieces of 2x4 in the bottom? Yeah. I don't know. It was just a super hype session, and someone just like went crazy and grabbed two pieces of 2x4 and put it on there. I think it was DL, to be honest.
That was one of the sketchiest setups I've ever seen.
So it's like one of the most like crazy DL clips like I've ever seen. Like it's it's up there with some of his best clips. And it's also like a clip of him in Philly. Like you've never seen a clip of DL in Philly, or I never have. And you mentioned that. So huge shout out to Ben Magaziner and Selwyn Briggs. And I thought that was a really cool throwback WTF of the week.
That was awesome. Like I said, you mentioned that on the show before, and I've had that clip imagined in my mind, and I never pictured it being that crazy and that sketchy. So that's super cool that clip finally emerged. It wasn't a lie. It actually happened. We're starting to not believe you for a minute.
And shout out to SK because he back torqued it as well. Like he sessioned that a bit. He did like Machio back far if he got like crazy on it.
Well, that's a spot right there. Yeah. Philly right there.
It's the session, Philly.
So shout out to this week's WTF featuring Dustin Latimer. Before we continue on with our guests, we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for this episode, Bling, who just came out with the new Sean Keen Pro Model skate, fully redesigned skate. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. And we have a quick, let's get Tony Woodland up in here. We're going to show you a couple of clips from Bling team rider Tony Woodland.
Who's driving now? Who's driving now?
It's your boy, Tony Woodland. Check him out.
Tony Woodland.
On Instagram, @Blank Rolling Products. And we have the link to the Blank website in the description. If you want to check out the new Sean Keen Pro Model Skate by Blank. Thank you for sponsoring this episode.
It's a great skate, that skate.
I'm riding them right now. I have them in the back over here. There you go.
It's a good-looking skate.
It's my setup. Good skate. Sick. Quality skate. I've been riding it for a while now.
Yep. Sick. So shout out Blank and shout out Tony Woodland and shout out Sean Keen.
Yeah.
Very
well-deserved pro skate from Sean Keen. Mm-hmm. Should we move it on to our guest? Are we good?
Yes, let's move it on to our guest. Before we do, I would like to say if you are watching live, we have some viewers watching us live right now. Please remember to hit the like button. You just X out of the chat, hit the like button, come right back into the chat. It's waiting for you. It really helps us.
For you.
Let's get our guest on.
Yeah, everybody, please welcome Mr. Brooke Howard Smith.
That's good. That feels good. Feels great.
That's all the people in the live screen right
now. Feels good, huh?
87 of you crazy bastards. That's awesome.
That's a big cheer from 87 people.
Look at that. How are you guys?
Yeah,
Austin, Billy.
Welcome to the show, Brooke. This is a pleasure having you on the show. Skating royalty right here, and we're glad we're able to make this happen all the way from New Zealand to New York to California.
Awesome, guys. It's so good to be on here. I've watched a lot of the episodes. I love it. I love your work. It's really exciting.
Nice. Good to have you on.
It's our pleasure, and it's an honor to have you on. Like I said many times on the show, like my first video was Hoax 2, and that had like the biggest impact on me. So like seeing you, everything that you did in skating, from like creating Senate to England, and even Pointer and everything like that, was really cool to see and watch you go on to do things. So we got a long episode ahead. We got some surprises ahead, but I think it would be cool to kick straight into it. So you have a very early start on the early days of skating, like from, I would say, the very, very beginning. So I guess that all started from when you came out to America. So what made you want to leave New Zealand to begin with and come to America?
I was lucky enough. I was a skier that found rollerblades, and then I was lucky enough. The Team Rollerblade dance team came through New Zealand. Eric Wiley, Jill Schultz, and a bunch of folk, and they were like, "You should come to the US." I was okay, and they were like, "You should come and give it a crack in the US." And a little bit later, I was on my way to an ice carving competition in Russia, and you never invite a New Zealander because we'll just turn up and live at your house. And so I actually just hitchhiked. I landed in LA. I didn't even tell Eric Wiley I was coming. I just landed in LA. I hitchhiked down, caught buses, hitchhiked down to Huntington Beach. And I walked, like, now I know about America. I wouldn't do this again. But I literally just knocked, walked in, and he was having sex with his girlfriend. She was on the kitchen bench. And that was my introduction to, and Eric Wiley kind of like got over that little incident. And it was awesome. Great way to meet the girl. Can't remember her name. And then I just lived at different people's houses for like the next 10 years. I was just like a burden on Chris Mitchell, Eric Wiley, Arlo Eisenberg, Mark Shays, you name it. I just lived on people's couches for a very long time in the States.
What an intro. What an intro.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool way to do it. Wow, what an introduction to America.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right off the plane, some hitchhiking, hopping on some buses, knocking on the doors, yeah, wow.
So you weren't a dancer?
I wasn't a dancer, no.
How did it go from rollerblade dance team to aggressive skating?
They were just touring. I was already I was skating, and we just had skateboarders and BMXers where I was, and so I'd skate with them, and I was doing more of the kind of the stunt stuff, like the action sports style of skating. And so I was not, in fact, I'm a terrible dancer. I've got like 3 dance moves, a pretty bad dolphin dive. This one, you guys will have seen this one, and a couple of others. But yeah, no, I wasn't on the dance team. But back in those days, it was basically like Edwards, Parnell, Doug Boyce, and a small group that were in the kind of like the stunt team. But the dance team did all the touring. And so, so no dancing for me, unfortunately.
So, but this is like an explosive time for like the aggressive side of rollerblading.
Yeah.
Like this isn't coming out like before. Like there's, like you said, it's like the very beginning. You're seeing like Parnell, Chris Edwards, Doug Boyce. Like that's like early days stuff. So, were you introduced to that in California, or were you introduced to that? Did you have an idea of what that was when you were in New Zealand?
Yeah, and what's interesting is like, and all of us, wherever we were, whether it was Mike O'Pallick or Arlo or any of these people, wherever we were kind of probably doing this reasonably solo. And we got to California, we didn't know how good we were. And when we got to California, it was like, we were pleasantly surprised that we're at a level that meant that we could do it for a job, or like the closest. I mean, it wasn't really a job. We didn't make any real money in the very beginning, but we're able to do it like all the time. And I wasn't terrible. I mean, I think, listen, it's no secret for those of you watching, I was not a very good rollerblader. I was pretty shit house. In fact, what we're going to discover today is that I wasn't very good at anything back then, outside of just being kind of a loudmouth kind of. I think what's the term is like a personality, but I had an amazing group of people around me, and it was amazing because you could just kind of like create. Every day you went out, you'd try something new, and sometimes you'd pull it off, and sometimes you'd split your chin open.
That's funny that you said that, because like doing some research or whatever research I could do on you before we got into this episode, a lot of things I saw were like Brooke was known, he was more of a personality in skating, and I never ever thought about you like that in any way, because back then, like a pro skater was just a pro skater. You were known for just being able to jump on rails and do all this other shit because there wasn't that much you could do in comparison to how it is now. So if you were like hitting rails and doing all this shit, touring the world, like you were pro, you were up there. So I never thought of you as that way ever. And it's funny that you just said that because, that's new to me too.
I think I've probably been conditioned into you're right, because every single article says wasn't that great rollerblader. There were times where things would happen. I pulled them off. No one was more surprised when I landed it than me. I'm telling you right now.
Get out of here. This is BS.
This is false modesty. I was amazing. I was literally.
You were great, man. You were great.
Yeah, thanks. We'll get back to that.
Don't listen to Austin. He's trying to feed that. Nah,
I'm not saying I didn't say I agree with that at all in any way. I'm just saying I never heard that before in any skater, let alone you, until like today. You know
what was interesting? By the time the Hoax 2 came around and we were touring, it was really interesting because you had to try crazy shit because the kids were expecting so much. The Hoax came out, and then we got on this bus and we're touring around, and I remember just like the pressure on us to do these crazy things was already so massive. And so, I mean, you had to be reasonably good, or it was just like embarrassing. Anyways.
Yeah, I actually think we've had Opalek on here, and we've had Arlo on here, but you're another person who has been on Hoax Tour that we haven't had on yet. So, how did that come to be? What was that like for you? Because that was a huge impact in skating at the time. I think it sold something like some super high number of videos and was in so many households, and just VHS, like it pulled so many. It was like rock star shit. Excuse my French, but yeah,
that's okay. And we might talk about this a little bit later, but there is a general with the Hoax 2, there is a general pathway from Arlo through me, and eventually you should have had Opalek on the podcast second to last, maybe B or Brian, but and Arlo will talk about this later on. How upset I was that I hadn't been on your podcast. I saw Mike on there. I was like, they skipped me. It's supposed to go Arlo, me, probably Brian, B, and then Mike, if you're watching, then you. And I think Mike will be watching this. Hi, Mike Opalek. I love him.
Brian's another one too.
I forgot the question. Yeah, Brian's doing crazy stuff, right? It's amazing. Yeah. Has he been on the podcast yet?
Unfortunately not.
No, he hasn't. You're on before him.
You've got this thing completely ass backwards, guys. You need to.
We got to redo the whole. We got to redo the whole series now. We're starting episode 1 again.
100%.
Yeah, we got Brian.
Somewhere Brian is pissed. He is upset. So yeah.
Well, Brian knows the deal. He's a busy man. It's tough to get a hold of him, but we would love to have him on as well.
You're a busy man as well, so we're happy you made the time for it. You are. But yeah, so quickly, Hoax 2, there's a famous, a lot of times in tours, you're in with like a lot of the guys, and there could be a lot of testosterone, a lot of like arguing tight spaces. So did you find yourself, there's a famous line from when I think you and Brian Smith got into it. So was there a lot of tension on tour, or was that just like a one-off kind of situation?
That was like obviously that was like peak frustration after that was like 33 days or something, that tour, and you're in a tight space. And I think we vowed to never talk about what that fight was about. And someone, when I posted that we were going to do this piece, one or two people asked about that specific thing, if it was real. It was very real. I don't know why I would punch myself in the head. It didn't make much sense at the time, but that's the kind of crazy that stops someone from messing with you in a bus. So yeah.
It has a very down under vibe. You know what I mean? Like
it's something I prepared a little bit earlier for a reenactment if you guys want it later on.
We got to get a reenactment. It'd be sick if you had the same knife.
For those who don't know, it's beefing between you and Brian Smith, and a punch in the head equals a knife in the throat. It's going to get you
a knife in the throat. Look at that. Yeah. That's unbelievable.
I've been on tour. I've wrestled friends, and we've got into it, and times we've almost like fought. So but that's just a famous line. We had to address that.
Yeah, of course.
there were a lot of like in those days because there's a lot of testosterone. So like Arlo and I have been in dust ups in the past. I think like we have a kind of a famous dust up when we were playing basketball once. But yeah, there was a lot of fighting. We were just like crazy testosterone kids back in those days. You're
On the
Dustin
court.
Latham, you're
I
Dustin
was gonna
Latham
say.
and Josh Pitt. Oh, you go?
Sorry. Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
No,
No,
no.
because you mentioned basket. Sorry, it's tough with the Zoom sometimes, but I was gonna say with the basketball and you and Arlo getting into dust ups, I can see. Are you one of those guys on the court that you talk a little smack?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm like I kind of feigned a bit of modesty about like how bad a rollerblader was. I was a terrible person, and that's not exaggeration. I was a horrible, horrible. I was maladjusted. At 19, I left home. I was living over there when I was 19 years old, and we had this kind of crazy success. And I didn't adjust to it well. I had no real role models to kind of guide me, and so I was a horrible person. And so often I would do terrible things like talk smack. I mean, I was always talking smack. There's no doubt about it. It's finally like nowadays that I look back and think about how crazy those days were and how specifically arrogant we were, especially when we took our success for granted and kind of like, there's a lot of smack talking for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let me real quick say, I'm from New York City, so if you talk smack playing basketball, we don't call that a horrible person. We call that just like a normal
regular.
person. You know what I mean? That's just regular. So that's just being playful. So I don't think you're a horrible person in that way. I don't know what it was like to have that success at such a young age with Senate.
Yeah.
So what was that like starting Senate and finding all that success and all of those things? Like, was MTV a part of this stuff? Like what was all that like? And at what age was this happening?
Yeah, we were like 20, I was like maybe 21 when it was really blowing up. And it was so crazy. We went from, making no money in 93 to 97, 13 million, more than $13 million, sold 700,000 t-shirts. We had this huge warehouse, and I was, at the top of my douchebaggery. So I went and bought an Audi with cash, right? I tried to buy, what did I try to buy? Can't remember what the name of the car. Anyway, so I went and tried to buy a car with Jess Darrenforth, and the guy wouldn't sell us the car because we had $40,000 in cash, and he thought we were drug dealers. and then so I went to the Audi dealership. We bought a brand new Audi, and every day I would come into the car park at Senate. This is douchebaggery, and slide like if I could into the car park. It was horrible, but the success was overnight success, and it was truly incredible because we went from being very, very broke in the very early days. We would, and these are kind of like some interesting stories. So there's two stories. One, I remember Katie Bloomy would bring us like food, like little food packages. We lived at this place called Spawn Ranch, and there would have been like 10 of us there. It was so crazy that Scott Bentley, for a while, slept under the dining room table, and he had a futon under the dining room table, and the back door would open up into his head when he was like, and we just had this whole place crammed with people. There were a couple of ramps in the backyard, Spawn Ranch it was called, and we had no food. The dishes were all backed up. We would go get rice and then go to Taco Bell and McDonald's and get like sauces and make kind of like a rice stir-fry saucy thing. And it went from that to being very, very wealthy, like $15,000 a month checks at 21. And you were just spending it on just stupid shit. But it was an amazing time, obviously, for rollerblading. We all look back and like crazy days because it just blew up so fast. It became, the largest pastime in America really rapidly overnight. And it was a pretty cool time to be there.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Do you think that happened too quick? My bad, Billy.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of argument like that. That's a big question. Like how did it kind of launch like this and then fall away? And maybe it was too quick, but it certainly was too quick for us to realize what was happening. I think like we made jokes that at Senate we could make anything and it would sell, in that 95, 6, 7 period. It was just like anything. You could shit in a jar. I think that was an actual joke. He said we could shit in a jar, put Senate on it, and it would sell. And that doesn't really prepare you for the harder days when, you know, the demand starts to, you know, fall away. And so with Senate especially, it was kind of like it went like this, and then it just like boom started falling away, 98, 99. And so yeah.
Wow. That must be, yeah, that's really intense, and that must be like so much to handle at that age, especially like you said, it doesn't really prepare you for the harder days when you have like that overnight success, and like it kind of goes
Yeah.
easy, and like you said, you could put you know, shit in a jar and put a Senate thing on and sell it, and it's good. But I want to talk more about this, but we do actually have a special guest later, so I want to kind of put this to the side for now.
Yeah.
Maybe come back to this if we could. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm going to get further into your life, but just touch on rollerblading a little bit more before we get into like what you did past that. So somewhere down the line, you create one of the most iconic clothing companies in England, and have
Yeah.
some. We just had a WTF with Dustin Latimer, and this is like early Dustin Latimer, and with you know, Josh Petty in his prime and John Julio. Like, what an epic like team, and you went on to add other people as well, but just like that three-piece in the beginning, this like what they all
Yeah.
went on to do with skating, and what they all the contribution. So where did that come from, and what was that about?
I mean, I just have so much love for John Julio, and I think there was so much of it was just wanting to build something around the unique um, aesthetic that he brought to rollerblading. He was just so different to everybody else. The way he carries himself as a human being is, you know, we were like, if we were all kind of young and crazy kids, he just had this old soul and a brilliance about him, a creativity and a style that was amazing. And so when you start with him, and then you add Dustin, who, you know, showing that clip a second ago, DL is just an amazing human being as well. And someone, I was like, really, I was just like, when you showed that clip, I was like, I miss those guys so much. Julio and Dustin and Petty, you know, those were crazy days. And we were just so lucky with Senate and England to be around such brilliant, creative, and talented people. Like, I mean, John is, you know, and the thing about John is he's consistently been so creative. Like, you know, you're talking about nearly 30 years now for him to be at the top of the game, still an incredible skater, but also creating these amazing projects. And so shout out to John Julio.
Huge shout out to John Julio. Yeah. Yeah, that was just like such an early. I remember seeing Volume, and that just having such an
Oh, yeah.
impact. Yeah, that everything in that, and just like, yeah, I think that was like the first of its kind. Like with so many different things, like just like the three-piece team, and having such a long video. Like most videos were just like had such a combination of people, but it was just three people responsible for this huge piece. A lot of it in black and white.
Yeah.
Shot in England, and this, you know, they had like TJ Weber lines of John Julio cutting in and out,
Yeah.
and that was like the first of its kind, and all this
Yeah.
stuff. And obviously these people that went on to contribute so much to skating. So that was just a huge part in the progression of the skate culture as well.
Yeah, that's some great memories. Specifically, there's this one moment, I don't know if it was in Volume, that Dustin Latimer doing the alley-oop fish in the bank. I've got like a poster. It's actually over in my room over there.
The ditch, yeah.
And yeah, the ditch. And that's my nephew, who's now, to give you context of time, he's like 32. And there's like this 5-year-old kid walking down through the ditch. I mean, that's just like, and that was Laguna, somewhere around Laguna Beach. Jess, the amazing Jess Darrenforth, shot that photo. And it's just like, again, it's Latimer. Like, what an incredible style that guy had and has.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, no,
And Weber,
that's
Jesus.
crazy.
TJ bloody Weber. I mean, hello, wherever you are, TJ. I think I saw him like hanging with some people the other day, right? So TJ is kind of lurking around.
I think he shows up randomly to like some events. He might have been at the Blade Cup. That wouldn't shock me. He like stays in touch with like some Dave Payne and some of those guys. So I feel like John Julio connects with everyone, so he would probably know.
That's right.
But
that's
John Julio is like
exactly
the
right.
source. Yeah,
he is the source. He is kind of like it'd be hard to pin which character in the Matrix Julio is, because he's kind of like architect and Neo all like rolled into one. And the
Yeah,
Oracle, he's the Oracle.
he's like the Oracle and like also Morpheus. It's tough to
Yes, he's
say.
all of it. Let's
He's
just
also the
call John
architect.
Julio. He's the Matrix.
Yeah,
John Julio is the Matrix. I'm good with
he's the
nicknames.
Matrix.
Just call him the Matrix.
Well, on that topic, who do you think is like the most influential person in skating history? Because I feel like there was a lot of people in that time too.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. And Arlo and I might have even had a little, then we might have touched on this when we reconnected. That baton is definitely handed to John Julio. Obviously in our day, Arlo was like an indisputed kind of unstoppable force, and always will be. But just for sheer, constant, consistent effort, application, and excellence, John Julio is the whole sport. He's changed it every month of every year since 1995. And that's a pretty incredible thing to say, right?
Yeah, no, the commitment and just like the amount of what he's been able to bring and introduce, it's unparalleled. Huge shout out to John Julio.
Maybe only me. You would say probably me and John Julio, the two
I'd probably
largest
say
forces.
it's a toss up. It's a toss up, but I can see as you are, you're humble, so you're giving it to John, which is
before we go.
give that up.
But before we make like too big a deal about John Julio, you just need. There was that period where he invented the sidewalk and the other one that I can't remember the name of.
Mistral.
So it's not like the Mistral. There was a couple there he invented that were significant missteps, but they've been erased. It's like maybe that's why he's worked so hard for like 30 years. He's like, how do I make up for sidewalks? So good on you, John.
He's still paying his tribute.
He is. Today, we will decide whether or not he has erased that legacy. We'll be like, okay, it's done. You paid your penance, John.
Yeah.
Well,
it's finally done.
Well, speaking of inventing tricks, whatever, from what I understand, you invented one of the most famous tricks ever, royale or shifty royale, because we spoke about this when we had Michael Palak on the show as well, and we were trying to differentiate the difference between where there was a shifty royale when you invented it, or like a royale, or what the difference was. Could you shine some light on this topic for us?
Well, I think first we're learning a lesson here. If you'd had me on the show before Mike, you wouldn't have had to go through that entire mess of him trying to figure that out, right? So if you just follow the format, Arlo, Brooke, Brian, B, Mike, then it's fine. But you guys decided to just change it up.
We fucked up.
So Royale was, every now and then, despite being talentless, something will go right. And there was a day where we were shooting for vertical axis, and Arlo, and it was so crazy in those days because you could just go like, hey, why don't we just do this? And we'd already started doing shifties, and God, there'll be some fucking idiots in Australia who'll start going on and on about shifties and royales and stuff. I stopped listening to them along. If you're watching Pinkus and the rest of you who claim that shifties are royales and that they came from like a wombat invented them in 1985, but it's not true. Like, so the shifties started on this rail, and Arlo jumps it, does a 360 over it at the start of the Hoax. And there's a rail there it's like a really like flat rail, and we started kind of like twisting the bodies, and we're able to kind of like twist and shift. And then as you were doing that, we found that you were on the two edges of the skates. And then we were shooting with, I wish I could remember his name, Bruce Benedict, I think is his name, vertical axis. And Arlo and I, there was a couple of short rails at UCLA, and we were doing some really we were like, okay, let's try some stuff. And Arlo tried what became a fast slide there. I did a switch sole, which was like, and classically, and this is just the case, like I'm sure Arlo will tell you this, he is like methodical and he will like plan and execute. I would just like jump and like squiggle my feet over the rail and hope something went right. And at some point in time, I kind of like thought, what if we laid the boot down and it started working? And you could feel that you could put weight on it. And then the royale was born, and very lucky. And there has been a campaign Australians are not trustworthy. I think that's the first thing. I think Scott Crawford is watching this. Scott is the most trustworthy Australian, and he's still like probably like a 6 out of 10. But so if you want to, I'm sure they've invented something in Australia, but it wasn't the royale. That's what I'm saying. Boom. Have you interviewed in Australia? Have you interviewed in Australia?
We had Scott on the show.
Scott Crawford before me? What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't think we ever discussed the start of the Shifty or Royale, but I was just curious about the clarification on the difference between the two. But you're saying they claimed it in Australia first?
Is Scott a Patreon? Is that what you're doing? Are you working through your Patreon supporters? What's the deal? If I'd just given you $50, would I have been on the show earlier?
I mean, we'll take the $50, but I don't think they would have gotten you on the show any earlier.
Unbelievable. Sorry, back to this.
No, you know what it really is? Because I feel like we should address this really fast. Before COVID, we just did lives. There was no Zooms.
I see.
So we've only started doing Zooms maybe a year and a half ago. And then when we got into Zooms,
Scott Crawford's in the chat, by the way.
We should have prioritized you. You know,
I knew he'd be in here trying to claim some stuff.
But Scott was on live.
Yeah,
Scott was on live when Austin was in Australia. So
yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, I never made it to New Zealand.
No. Well, come to New Zealand. We'd love to have you here with your.
You're our first Kiwi on the show, actually.
I would have been really pissed if there was another Kiwi on before. The Scott Bentley would be great on the show. And sorry, I should have pointed out, like before you guys started watching, last night was like we've got a big work project on, and it was a Christmas drinks, and so I'm probably still a little bit drunk, but Scott would have been proper drunk on the show. He would have really dropped the hammer. Wherever you are right now, Scott is probably drunk. So shout out to Scott Bentley.
So we need Scott drunk on the show. Got it.
Yeah,
we'll add that to the list.
Yeah, absolutely done.
Nice. Okay, we don't want to cover too many in this because we got a special guest on that we got to pull on.
Right.
But I want to quickly touch on.
Yeah, let's talk about how amazing. Let's talk about how amazing I am now.
Let's do this. Exactly. Let's do that really quick. So at some point at the end of skating, you start to maybe realize, I don't know, like, oh, I should do something else. Maybe skating starting to go in a certain direction that's not working. And I got to transition. I got to move back home. What happened? You left California. How was that transition back home? And how did you get into what you're doing now?
I think it's a reasonably well-documented story. It wasn't like I decided to leave. Arlo got me kicked out. And so I was coming back, and we build it up like it's an Arlo thing. It was me. I was coming back through with like a pretty tattered passport into Boston just after the X Games in '97. Is that right? And they pulled me up, and then they called Arlo to like who I'd said, this guy can vouch for me that I'm like a tourist, and I'm gonna go stay at his house. And it didn't go perfectly well, and so they handcuffed me, put me on a plane, and told everyone I was a terrorist and shipped me back to Austria.
What?
And then then they wouldn't let me into Austria, and then I had to convince them. It's a long story. It's very salty wound, guys. But so that was really the end of me being able to easily get into the US. There was one more time where I snuck in through Montreal into the US, like '99, for a competition, and that was the last time I second to last time I came to the US. But the last time, I mean, you can't really do this without living in the US. So, but I was a really bad rollerblader by then. Like I was genuinely not able to, and people would expect me to be better. And so I was like, yeah, I give up on this.
Makes sense.
So that's what happened.
Okay,
was there enough blame laid at Arlo's feet?
No, and
he'll be able to defend himself in a little bit.
And I'm sorry, I didn't know it was a salty wound.
Amazing.
So you end up going back to
Yeah,
so you end up going back to New Zealand.
Yes, sorry, Billy, there's a bit of a delay there. So I ended up going back to New Zealand, and where we talked about how great Senate went, and like we thought we were geniuses. So I started Pointer from New Zealand, and then blew like nearly $1 million on that. And I was like, oh, I wasn't a genius. It was just a huge, unbelievable, like, series of kind of waves that we're riding. And Pointer kind of like, obviously didn't go as well as we thought. We were fucking close to pulling it off. But by then the industry was definitely falling away. So long story short, boom, back in New Zealand. And, from being 21 and driving a brand new Audi, and there's lots of great stories about, destroying the Audi. But from being 21 and being this very arrogant kid with the Audi, 30 years old, I was back and living with my parents in New Zealand, broke, but still handsome.
That's important.
So you had a lot going for you.
But so
you're like, okay, I've lost it all, but I still look good. I got a great personality. What can we do with this?
Personality, exactly. That's right. Yeah. So I was back in New Zealand at 30 by then, and then just kind of reset. And the only thing there that was like the only profession as easy as being a professional skater was being a TV presenter, which was super easy. You kind of just talked at a camera. And so I did that for 12, 13 years. And then started building companies. So that's kind of like what I've done since rollerblading.
Yeah, I was looking because not a lot of rollerbladers have a Wikipedia. You have a Wikipedia, so I was like,
I mean, I wrote the Wikipedia, Billy. I wrote the
that looks good. But okay,
what is
so
this?
let's get.
So it's
like an Inquisition? Is this an Inquisition?
What do you think it is? It's an interview with Tell All. Come on.
I didn't write all of the Wikipedia.
Almost all of it.
No, I didn't write.
So you did some philanthropy too. You did an event that raised $2.7 million. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, we had an earthquake here in Christchurch in 2011. 185 people died. It was a real tragedy. And I at the time I was doing TV, and I posted on Facebook like, we should have a telethon, and then the post went viral, and then we ended up building a really cool telethon that helped raise money for Christchurch. It was really, really, really cool. A great the And then I kind of really enjoyed that. The working in philanthropy is great. There's like multiple kind of highs you get from it. The putting the show together, the raising the money, getting the total, giving the money to people is really awesome. And then seeing it put to work is really great as well. So that was like a few years of my life, 4 or 5 years, with just basically building big charity events.
That's a lot of work.
So look at that. Look at that. You said self-described douchebag. You said at 21, driving an Audi. Fast forward into your 30s, and you're doing $2.7 million for a charity to give back, doing some philanthropy. Look at the growth. It's amazing.
Yeah. It was. I'm slowly becoming a better person.
Did it take the crumble of a multi-million-dollar business and living back on your parents' house to make you do more charity work or something?
There have been multiple times where I've been pulled back down to earth. So I had some pretty bad things where I just kind of definitely tripped up throughout life. And I think that charity was that was penance. So that was me doing I had some big, not invent the sidewalk bad stuff, not as bad as that, but stuff that I had to make up for. And so that charity stuff really helped me kind of get back on my feet and get a sense of self-worth that was a little bit more grounded in something more than I guess financial success or some of the things that I thought were the key markers for self-worth before then. So if that makes any sense, purpose has become a really big part of what drives me since then.
That comes with maturity too, I think, as well. So it might have been bound to happen, might have not been, but we're glad it did.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Glad it did.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's really cool to hear. And looking at all the things you've done after skating has been really cool to see. I have a couple more things I wanted to touch on before we brought in our special guest. But one of those things is, I found with a lot of my friends who've had other talents or been very talented people within rollerblading, they've gone to be talented in other places. Sometimes the association and the negative association, especially in the early 2000s, of having been a rollerblader can sometimes be a barrier in other fields. And I'm wondering, since you were specifically in the entertainment field, if you ran into any situations where you felt maybe like shy or hesitant to like talk about your rollerblading past, or if there's any like pushback in this way, or any like places where it was like, oh, this is maybe more beneficial to not talk about it, or something like that.
Well, I mean, the first show I did here, they were action sports shows. So like I was X Air and XS TV, and so I would try to include rollerblading in there. But definitely, like New Zealand was pretty kind of hardcore, and of course the anti rollerblade kind of brigade were pretty strong. Um, and so certainly, like it was something you caught a lot of flack for. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been really interesting watching that subside and and dissipate over the years. Like now, we talk about counterculture and what John, it's so cool seeing the resurgence that appears to be happening right now, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really really neat. So there's like a lot of people. There's some people in New Zealand that were surprised I stopped skating, but my reasoning for that, and it still stands. I think the last two times I have, it's because I've been with like old friends. Like the last, it'd be like I'm with, if I catch up with, if I caught up with Arlo and B or people like that, I'd skate again because it's that
Mm-hmm.
that's the context. The friends were that was the reason I did it. When I came back, I went skating with some of the younger guys, but it was just not the same as skating with my mates, and so I kind of stopped
Right.
doing it. And now I wish I'd kept going. But the truth is, I mean, the other truth is that again I was really bad, and I got hurt every time. It was like incredible if I'd finish a session and not be seriously hurt. So I think my body is reasonably grateful that I did stop when I did.
No, I agree, and I don't think there's like anything like, oh, do you have to be committed to skating or not, or anything like that, because you certainly get older and you find like different challenges in your body, and like you go on to different things, and also like tough to go to the skate park and there's these younger guys and you're getting older, so it's good to skate like you said with your mates and like have fun in that way. But I've just found like, especially like for a while I was getting into playing music, and I was in like Southern California, we were like meeting, playing with other bands, and they were like really liking us, like, oh, we really we really like you guys, like how do you guys know each other? And we're like, well, we know each other from blading, like we skate together. And they'd be like, what dude, you do what,
Yeah,
you blade? So like those things.
yeah,
And I was just curious, especially specifically in entertainment, if like you had those moments where like it had
yeah.
come up. Yeah.
I mean, I still have friends that think it's hilarious,
Yeah.
and these are
All of us
grown
do. All
people.
of us do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
and
family members.
yeah, these are grown people who have no idea about just like the sense of like this arbitrary selection of a sport's credibility based on like just like um, cultures. It's like it's quite incredible that like
Yeah.
40 or 50-year-old people still buy into that is amazing. But I mean
Yeah.
that's on them. That's what they do. I mean I am so grateful for that period of my life. It gave me some of my lifelong friends. Um, I think my favorite thing I ever said on rollerblading is you get two things from rollerblading: good friends and bad knees. And and that's just the nature of it. I think we just you know what can you do, guys? I mean, the people are going
That's
to
a great
be
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that said, I think I would say I certainly walk taller about it now because I've come to grips more with um, the rationale behind it, and the weakness in other people is like their ability to kind of buy into that myth is something that I no longer really give any credit to.
That's cool, because I think that's like naturally changing in society anyway. Just like people are learning to be more aware and conscious and accepting of others with whatever group, but like groups in different areas, generally more marginalized groups are being paid attention to,
Yeah,
and these things are important. So I think just like as a byproduct, people are kind of being more accepting in general, which is Like you said, good friends and bad knees. I think that's a really good slogan for what skating can bring to us. And I can absolutely relate. It brings the best friends, and it can bring some trouble to the knees if you do it for some long time and get older. But speaking of good friends, I feel like it might be time to bring in one of our special
Yeah.
good friends. I hope they're around, and I hope they have a bell just in case, and maybe might have some things to say to comment on what's already been said thus far. Maybe you might have to challenge you on some things that have already been claimed. I don't know. This is like one of your, like you said, good mates for a long time. So, Austin, do we have our guest queued up?
Our guest is queued up, and it looks
Perfect.
like he's ready to go. His pants are on. Please, everybody, welcome our
that's good.
second special guest, Arlo Eisenberg. There we go. Boom.
How do you know my pants are on?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I
You
don't know.
that.
That's true. Don't stand up. I
Shirts
don't wanna know.
I would definitely be ringing the bell if I heard that one.
Is that what you were doing? You were taking your pants off but not putting pants back on?
The nice thing about not having pants on is you never have to take them off.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're already ready.
I do a lot of podcasts without pants on too. No one can tell because I don't have you can't see my legs. It's hot. in
Actually,
here.
you know what? Actually, what I was doing, it's true. Since you're talking about taking the pants off, I actually was just putting some of my shit into a jar. And,
Wow. Did
see
you make a Senate shit jar? That's
well, it's
fantastic.
drug receipts, shit in a jar.
Fantastic.
Nice.
How much that cost? How much you selling that for?
You name the price, Arlo.
How do you have crypto?
Yeah, how
Do you
much?
ship
how
to
much
New
ETH,
Zealand?
How much ETH that cost?
Exactly.
Hey, I know that people are going to want to ask this, and I haven't been in the United States for a long time. I've recently reconnected with Mark Shays, who has that same style of T-shirt that he wears all the time, and I don't know, is it something that's happening there? Like middle-aged men are wearing these kind of stand up. Give us a little twirl, Arlo. What's going on?
No, he has no pants on. He can't do that.
Brooke, I don't think that a midlife crisis is a new phenomenon, right?
No.
It's not something particular to now that's happening. I think it's been going on for as long as men have been turning middle-aged.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Anyways, so I think when we get to a point on this in this interview, if it's going well, I too am going to take my shirt off. That's just my guarantee.
Well, as long as we're in the burning section of the podcast, not everyone can pull off a faux hawk, so some of us have to slum it with a tank top too.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is that this is kind of like, I don't even know what this is. We've been in lockdown here for 110 days, and this guy started cutting my hair. You know how that usually they ask you what you want,
Yeah.
but he seemed to think that this was what the kids were doing. Arlo, is that not true? Okay.
I'm not the right person to ask. I have no idea.
Arlo doesn't know the trends in New Zealand right now.
Yeah.
I used to have a barber in California who was
Yes.
Brandon Campbell, right? We all know Brandon Campbell. He became a barber. He was working at some pretty rad barber shops in Costa Mesa, and he opened his own eventually. So I used to always get my haircut from Brandon. That was sick. But since I've been in Dallas, I don't have a barber anymore. So I just go to a generic place, and it's basically like Russian roulette.
You go
Right.
to Supercuts.
Is this the kind of
Pretty much. It's like the rock and roll supercuts. They call it Floyd's. But I don't. They always give me their card and like, hey, you want to come back to me next time? And I take whoever is available.
great
Brooke, am I just boring you?
great story, Arlo. Oh my, like gold.
You guys already ran over all the stuff, all the good stuff, like me getting you kicked out of the country. So I feel like I have nothing left to talk about.
No, we got to go over that. 'cause
Oh no!
you still have to defend yourself on that.
I was gonna say we have to mention, like, I was trying to stop us there a little bit. We got to talk about that early days Senate stuff, like they stopped in the country. What was your experience on that?
No.
I don't know. No.
Let's hear more about Arlo's shopping experiences in Dallas. Arlo,
My haircut.
talk about it?
Brooke, listen, Brooke, you're the one that talked about your haircut, and you're like, is that everyone's experience? You know that aren't they just supposed to ask you what you want for your hair? I was trying to riff off of you.
We're riffing, guys. This is riffing. This is great.
Some of that old
We're
Senate banter.
So
This is friendship.
It is.
This is friendship.
This is organic right now.
Yeah.
But
That's
let's
what friendship looks like.
Let's
This
start.
is
just
the
saw-
podcast equivalent of skating with your mates.
Yeah.
You know,
pretty much.
when we added Arlo, we thought it would add I just saw 3 people leave the podcast. You can see the people walking away.
Yeah, that was probably your
Yes.
mom, your dad, and your wife.
I'm calling Michael Pellick now just to see if he can sub in for you, dude. That's what we do. Okay. So anyway, so let's go back to Senate and the hoax. Let's make firstly.
Well, can we
Arlo-
real quick? Can we go even before that? Because
Oh yeah, sure.
you guys, when you moved out to California, you moved out and you met Brooke in Venice or something like that, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
He
so
was
Brooke told the
jumping
story
barrels.
about when he came out to California, and I had a very similar origin story just about a year later. I saw Team Rollerblade in Dallas, made the same decision, the same gamble. Well, I guess California is the place to be. I moved out there, and Brooke was the first person who I ran into who was kind of already connected to the scene, and he really took me under his wing and sort of introduced me to the skate scene, the skate professionals in California. Got me booked on my first shows. He actually went into my place of employment at a sporting goods shop and quit my job for me.
What?
Yeah, that's
We
right.
were
Yeah.
going to do our first tour in Austria, in Germany. I think we were doing either Ultra Wheels, or it wouldn't have been Oxygen yet. It must have been
No,
Ultra Wheels.
it was like whatever the precursor to that was. You know what? I don't know if that was the tour where we discovered Red Bull, right? They
Yeah,
just
so Red Bull wasn't in the U.S. yet, and everyone drank Red Bull and vodka, basically, was the mixed drink whenever you went to the nightclubs. Yeah, so our introduction to Red Bull was on those early skating tours.
Wait, Brooke, how did
more
you go in?
podcast gold there.
How did you go in and get Arlo, make him quit his job? How did you quit his job for him?
You know what's amazing? And this is going to happen. And Arlo and I haven't caught up a lot. Like we're just starting to get back into the catch.
He doesn't remember.
Totally forgotten that. I totally forgot
So-
that. No, I have vague
Oh,
memory of
okay.
that. Yeah. No, you tell the story. So at the time, I'm
Well, but so I was working at a sporting goods shop in Santa Monica on the 3rd Street Promenade. I think is what it's called, right?
Yeah.
And they also started carrying rollerblades at the shop, and so I was helping, like in the rollerblading shop. Like I think they would rent them out there, and people could buy wheels and buy skates. But at the same time, Brooke had started getting me booked on rollerblade shows, and I started getting into that world. And we got booked to do shows at the big ISPO trade show in
ISPO.
Germany, in Munich, Germany. Yeah. And that would have been my first time traveling abroad at all, honestly. Traveling for skating, certainly, but traveling out of the country under any circumstance. That was my first trip. So it was a big deal and felt very unreal. It didn't seem like it was possible. But for Brooke, either it was old hat for him already. I mean, I guess for him, even coming to the States was already international travel. So he was a little less, I think, intimidated or fazed by it, but also probably a lot better at, putting on a confident front. But so he's like, mate, you're not ever going back to that job again. And honestly, the boss was kind of an asshole. I mean, not kind of an asshole. He was an asshole. Like that was his bit. Like it was almost like cartoonish. Like came out of like a sitcom or central casting. But so there would have also been some kind of like joy in quitting or telling that guy, take this job and shove it. And I don't know why. Maybe I was too timid.
I
don't
remember
know how it came to Brooke was going to do it for me. But what happened?
No, I do remember that. I remember you not wanting to do it. And
so
it was
we went
crazy
in
'cause-
and we're sitting in this like the little rollerblade closet, right? They turned like the back room into kind of the rollerblade rental shop, and it had like a little door that faced the retail area. But so we're back there in the back room, all sitting on probably like fold out chairs, and Brooke is telling this guy, and like, by the way, you don't have to do this. The guy doesn't care. He doesn't need an explanation. All you do is say, I'm moving on, or I'm giving my notice. But we went in, it had to be very dramatic. And Brooke's like, you don't understand, he's going to be a professional skater and he's going to be a big star or whatever. And he's never coming back here. So he's, take this job and shove it, or whatever the words were. But yeah.
We showed that guy.
We showed him. Yeah. And by the way, I say that he was an asshole, and he was, but I didn't mind the guy. I got along with him, and I would give him rollerblading lessons down in Santa Monica, and he could not stand up on skates. But I mean, I don't wish anything bad on the guy. It's just a funny story.
Yeah, he's just an asshole. That happens,
Yeah. And
wow,
then I got
so the
Brooke
two,
kicked out of the country. That's a payback.
And
So
yeah, so yeah,
that's
that's
gratitude for you. Thank you. Yes.
yeah, I
Uh-huh.
think we got to touch on that.
Yeah.
Should we just let's get that out of the way because it's going to keep coming up no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've already kind of been there, and it's more comedy than anything. But of
Yeah.
course, it's also formative. The rest of my life, which has been amazing, wouldn't have happened. I'd be dead by now. There's no doubt I'd be dead because I didn't discover drugs until after America. Like I would definitely, if I discovered drugs in America, I'd be dead now. I'd be,
So
you
you're
know what
welcome.
I would have been in a really cool part of the Narcos series. That's what would have happened. They'll be like,
Oh my
there's just
God.
this one New Zealand character that gets killed like near the end.
But Arlo, what did you say that flagged Brooke and got him sent back to Austria? Do you remember?
Yeah. No, I didn't say anything. Or so I was at Jess's house. I would spend a lot of time in Laguna. We worked on Daily Bread a lot down in Laguna, and it was the middle of the night. And so Jess got a phone call at his house, and back then it would have been on a landline. So kind of stirred us from our sleep. And he's like, "It's for you." It's like INS or something. I mean, all this was very disorienting and confusing in the middle of the night. And so, they said this is Officer so and so with the Department of, back then it would have been INS or whatever, and they were with Brooke, and they said we just want to ask you some questions. We've got Mr. Howard Smith here. He's wants to reintroduce. I'm bullshitting because I don't know what they said, but the bottom line was they asked me some questions to verify or corroborate whatever story Brooke had told them, and I had not been briefed on what our story was, so I just thought I was doing Brooke a solid, like answering the questions honestly. They're like, "Oh, are you and Mr. Howard Smith in business together?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we started sending,
It's going really well.
and like, so does he work in the States?" I'm like, "Yeah, we got an office in Huntington Beach, and they say, "Okay, thank you very much." And so all of that was the exact wrong answers, because when you overstay your visa and you don't have a work visa, they don't want to hear that you're working in the United States. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, "Sorry, Mr. Smith," and they stamped his passport and they kicked him out and they said, "You're never." They said, "Hey, we've got a message from the manager at Arlo's old job. He said you are out of here and you're never coming back. Joke's on you."
The manager?
No, I mean, obviously
No,
the last part was bullshit.
Yeah.
They did not hear from my old manager at the retail shop, but he did get booted out with prejudice. Like, it wasn't just we're sending you back. It was like we are invalidating your passport and you can't come back in for 5 or 7 years or something. But somehow Brooke has stretched that into 30 years.
Yeah, that's no.
And
I mean, I'm
to
trying.
blame me for the whole thing.
I'm trying to come back in now. I just applied for my visa, see if I can, and we'll see if they've forgotten. At Boston, I had like 6 hours. It was the last flight that came in, and there was 6 hours till the morning flight to send me back to Austria. And I started talking to these people, and I had my skates there, and they were like, "Oh, X Games, that's kind of cool." And so we started talking, and I made friends with them. And I had this idea. I was like, what would be funny is if you cuffed me and walked me onto the plane and made a really big deal about it.
No way.
And they really got into this. And so they put me back on the plane. They said, "Please, under no circumstances, give him his passport until you're over international, water." And the flight crew were like, "Oh, okay." And they cleared seats around me. And I thought it was hilarious. What I didn't count on was, obviously they relayed this to Austria. And so I got into Austria and they wouldn't let me into Austria. And luckily there's a great guy, August Stangl is his name, Caesar. And he played football in Austria. And so that's, you're a god there. And he was able to talk these guys into letting me into the country. But like my comedy, obviously not doing me any favors there.
And August is from Oxygen, right?
That's right. Yeah. We created the Argon 1 together.
The Arlo.
The Arlo.
Arlo.
That's something I wanted to talk about too, because when we had no idea what we were doing with Dump Street, we had Michael Palak on before you, and we asked him about Oxygen, and he said that you were responsible for the design of Oxygen for at least the 1.1s or 3.1s, whatever it is. Like, what was the story with all that beginning?
I mean, the good parts. I'll take credit for the good parts, not the bad parts of those boots. There were people that had sketched them out, and then we were trying to make them obviously functional by putting the removable plates in. and and then just making up names for things. And so the H block, that was me, and then the little removable plates. Those were kind of cool skates when you look at them. Like visually, they were kind of cool skates.
Yeah.
Not all that practical, sadly.
They made a statement when they came on the scene, though, in like '98 or whatever it was. But
It was early days.
Yeah,
everyone just figuring it out.
Oxygen was great. It was just like a really cool team. Bentley, Opalic. It was great. It's like kind of hiring your friends, and then you realized you'd hired like the 4 laziest people in rollerblading. Like getting those guys to wake up was like, I was a team manager. It was like stupid. Like just waking that team up was an impossibility.
Did Oxygen like come to you for that? Like, they want to start like an aggressive skate side, and they came to you? Like, how did that even work out?
I can't even remember. How it all started and what the deal was. But by then, they were kind of fracturing out. Like you had the rollerblade guys with Chris Edwards, and then you had Arlo and Jess and the Roses team, and then I guess like Oxygen was the third major one there. And it was kind of like Tim Ward, Scott Bentley. Really seriously, like what the fuck was I thinking with like a group of people that were less motivated to get up in the morning? Like Scott Bentley, Tim Ward, Mike Opalic. Anyways, yeah.
Well, Brooke, there was actually an interesting time there before the Oxygen skates came out, and you'll have to refresh my memory on this if you recall, but where we were touring and going to Austria and traveling with August and doing shows. And I think possibly, since the skates didn't even exist yet, we were probably doing Oxygen shows in our own skates, maybe blacking out the labels or something with tape, or just not even, probably wasn't even that big a deal. But, right, that's a real thing, right? I remember you and Scott, I think, traveling around Austria.
They had these terrible skates. Remember them? They were like recreational skates, and we were doing vert shows. We're doing vert shows in these terrible skates that were like, and it was, and they kind of, it was a ski boot company, Koflak, and there was this little town of Koflak in Austria, and the whole town worked for the ski boot company, and we were like the saviors. And they put everything into these skates, and it was pretty cool. It's really rock starry, like it was amazing. The whole town would party with us. It was a really cool time.
You were skating vert with just regular rec skates, not even.
Oh, they weren't even regular. They were just awful skates, like terrible skates. And I think we'd like take wheels out of them. Right, that was the only way to kind of. It was a bad time.
Oh, that's like embarrassing.
Yeah, it was. But as Arlo was saying, like ISPO was this giant show that we'd all go to every year in Germany and Munich, and it was an awesome time traveling and doing these shows in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Before aggressive skating was established, that was what it meant to be a professional skater. That was how you made money, was doing shows, doing demos, and mostly that meant you were skating for big manufacturers, right? There was no such thing as like a core industry. Mm-hmm. In fact, that's why Brooke and me, both of our origin stories start not with seeing an aggressive team in our hometown. It's the team Rollerblade came through, and they were doing like dance performances, things like that. They were shows. Yeah. And when I saw Team Rollerblade in Dallas, actually, they did do a half pipe show, but it usually was part of a bigger traveling kind of performance.
Just dolphins. They just do dolphin like it was.
We all did it. I mean, when we moved to California, that's what we were doing too. Is doing dolphins, choreographed drop-ins. Across the veranda.
That's called dolphins.
Oh, that's called dolphins.
I think so,
dolphins
right?
is when you all drop. It's like when you all drop in staggered, right, from the same size, like one. Right.
Yeah.
What? I never knew that.
Kind of like the fountain at Bellagio, but it's rollerbladers dropping in.
That sounds fucking dangerous and sketchy as fuck.
And so it was a big deal to be like the show finisher, to do the last trick. And so remember, there's always this bit with like Carlos Cole, like where we'd be standing up on the ramp, and he'd be like looking, one person would be on one side, he'd be on the other, he'd be like pointing, like he wants you to say, no, go ahead, Carlos, you do it. Attempt your backflip, or attempt your, your 540 or whatever. But he's like, are you going to do it, or should I do it, or what? So, a little bit of old school rollerblading dynamics there.
Damn, we got to bring out some dolphins in skating these days. Maybe that's what we're missing.
Yeah.
Dolphins.
But you had to learn vert. Like if you wanted to make money, you had to learn vert. Like Arlo obviously is the only place to make cash.
So let's take it back to the core stuff then, which is what we all here for, which is the start of Hoax and Senate, because I don't know if it came around the same time or what, but do you guys remember like one of the first conversations you guys had with starting Hoax or Senate? I think, did Hoax come first? Hoax came first, right?
Yeah. And Hoax is kind of funny. I mean, the first thing is the name came about. The guys down in Laguna, or like down in Costa Mesa, Laguna, those guys were making like proper movies. And Arlo, Chris Mitchell, and I had started filming ourselves skating, right? Arlo, is that like, whose camera was it? Don't know.
I don't remember, but who was filming in Costa Mesa? Who are you talking about?
Like the Bottom Line, they were like doing like actual movies, like the Bottom Line. They were making a real movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But would we have seen that already?
No, I think they were just, it was starting to happen. Like they were doing a proper job. And so Arlo, and anyways, we had this camera and we were shooting stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, Arlo, ring your bell. But it was so ghetto. It was so ghetto that we would have a tape player with the Pixies, Where Is My Mind, right?
Yeah,
and then we'd press play on the video and the tape player at the same time to show people this video.
Yeah.
And then this rumor started that we were making a film, and we had no idea how to make a film. And so that's why it's called The Hoax, because it was just like a fake movie that we were telling people we were making. And then we were lucky enough, like while we were filming this, to run into Evan Stone, who was a real like shooter. And then we started like taking our footage and showing him, and then he started shooting real footage.
But
is that
so
right,
there's footage in the Hoax from those original early shoots that were just us on our shitty cam. Like when I split the rail at Santa Monica at the high school, and I'm like, did you film it? Did you film it? And like, because it hurt my ass or whatever. And Brooke is the one behind the camera who laughs. He's like giggling. He's like, yes, it's because he was filming that. It was just us out filming it ourselves.
Whose camera was that? I'll tell you a little story about.
I think I had a little camcorder that I brought from Texas with me. A little digi camcorder or something.
I lived in this house at the time with Chris Mitchell and his brother.
Couldn't have been digital, right? It was on tape. Sorry.
Yeah, it's on tape.
Yeah.
And so I lived with Chris Mitchell. Like I told you, I don't think I paid rent until like 1996. What is that, buddy?
There's like geese or something flying by. Crazy.
Oh, okay.
Texas, man.
How do I mute?
And no, you're doing good.
Throw rocks at the geese. Get them out of here.
And so we had this house that we crashed at that Chris Mitchell's brother owned. And Mitchell's brother rented it to a porn company, Vivid Videos. Do you remember this, Arlo?
Yeah.
And we had the video camera. And this, like, I don't even understand the logic in this. We hid video cameras around the house because we weren't allowed to be there.
Is that true?
Yeah. And they were like making a porn. So they're shooting it anyways, right?
Yeah.
We could have just waited till the porn came out.
Yeah.
And we thought we were clever. We hid these cameras and they found them. They got really angry at us that we were videoing the porn. It was called
speaking of
Brooke, if you want to find it, it's called Gang Bang Girls 9 is the name of that film. Anyway.
Yeah, will you see a cameo from anyone in there?
Yeah, right.
No.
See Brooke in the background
but
like this.
At Chris Mitchell's place, I actually put this in my post when I was kind of promoting Brooke's appearance today. And it sounds like a joke, and it kind of is, but it's actually mostly a true story that Brooke and I were looking. For some reason, there was a Hustler magazine at Mitchell's, and it had a pictorial spread about like the Supreme Court justices or something, like doing these hardcore sex acts. I mean, like really raunchy. But
it was Clarence Thomas. That's exactly who it was.
Yeah,
May rest in peace.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess we just thought it was hilarious or something. But, when we were talking about the idea of doing Senate or doing a company, which to then didn't have a name yet, but there was something really interesting about this idea of, being overtly, corrupt, like sort of playing up to corruption. It's like if you know that you're joining the capitalist system, if you're going to try to make money off of rollerbladers, then don't try to be their bro and be like, hey, we're so cool, support rollerblading. It's to be like, hey, we want your money, we're corrupt. And then that's how we got the name Senate. We were trying to think of a name that sounded corrupt, like, Congress or, the Supreme Court. Or, not that the Supreme Court is corrupt, but something that sounded like government,
Well, I mean, it is kind of now.
Well, but
Anyways,
back
moving
then,
on.
those are different times.
I never knew that
But
story
yes.
of the name.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think we've ever told that story because
Yeah.
it's I distinctly remember that the layout and
Exactly
us
right. I
going,
remember the
Senate,
thread.
that sounds like it sounds really powerful and strong, right?
Yeah.
And then BK, it'd be, you haven't had Brian Kanowski on, have you?
Nope.
Good. Do you know who Brian Kanowski is?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
He's lovely, but BK and what's the deal? The little rappers, did he printed the things? How did he get himself involved? What the fuck?
His father had like a machine
Yeah.
shop or they had
That's
something in
right.
the garage, maybe what it was.
Yeah.
But so they made the first metal wrenches and
That's
packaged.
right.
He got them packaged like in little
Yeah.
Ziploc bags with little paper
And he was
poster
like-
board headers that I drew some art for.
He was
That-
like 16 at
Actually,
the
it was
time,
probably
right?
our first product before wheels.
I was gonna
And
say
then we
that,
did
I think it was your
t-shirts, we
first
did the
product,
grind
right?
place, then we got the wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So he ended up being responsible for making the first metal wrenches at, what do you say, 16, Brooke? Wow.
Yeah, I'm playing down his role. He was kind of the genius behind the whole company. A lot of
That's a big step.
no, he actually was. He was certainly organized, and it was kind of cool. He was like this really excitable young guy, and he definitely had some hookups to where we're like, fuck it, now we've got to give him 1/5 of the company, right? Aaron Spawn, Mark Heineken, Arlo, myself, Brian Kanowski, Senate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm. So this was before you guys sold it, right? Like you started with Mark Heineken before you guys sold it, right?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. What?
Wait, the audio finally came through.
I just got a random whiff of like loud audio too.
Yeah, whatever that was, I need it because it's been so hard to hear you guys the whole time.
Oh,
It's
is that
been great.
right? Yeah, it's nice.
Oh.
Your guys are up
That's
all the
good.
way, all of you guys. So
Whatever you did there
Okay.
for a sweet moment was like honey, nectar to my ears.
do you have headphones?
Do you need
Maybe
me
get
to-
some headphones in.
I don't have headphones.
Well,
Okay.
But
I feel
don't
like-
shit
I
on me
feel
not
like-
having headphones, otherwise I'm gonna have to start
Joe-
calling Billy out for the dark room again.
I feel like
I feel
I feel like we might be good, just like me and Austin just kicking back for a lot of this episode. This is just doing itself. I love it. It's going out. It's like one of the best podcasts for that reason.
What do you want to know, Billy? You can ask anything.
Do you,
Thank you.
do you want a T-shirt? That'd be good if you
t-shirt,
could put. Yeah.
Should we make this 4 box a T-shirt and just put it on a black T-shirt and just sell it? That'd be good. So yeah, I guess what I want to know, even though I just love listening to you guys talk, but specifically about this, the 5 people, just because I thought for some reason it was just you 2 in the beginning and then brought Kanowski on, but it started with those 5 people.
No,
Yeah,
it started
my-
with Brooke and I.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was us. We were.
Mhm.
I mean, it was the concept that all that is Brooke and I. You know, we were the what would now be called creative directors, essentially,
Okay.
Yeah.
and founders. We brought
Mhm.
Mark Heineken in first because he was so far as we knew, as far as rollerbladers went, he was a business person, right? He was
Yeah.
already working for Rodolfo's in Amsterdam doing distribution. So we thought we needed someone that understood that side of the business, and so Mark came on pretty early as a partner. And then from there, it was just sort of one of these weird things, like always happens in small industries, where people just sort of start trading around ownership in a company is just kind of as a way to, like, I don't know, do stuff. And so Aaron Spawn was doing stuff with ramps. I mean, I'm not quite sure. Oh, no, you know what? Maybe it was because we lived at his house.
We lived at his
I don't
house.
know.
We lived at his
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
Maybe because he was older than us. Again, same idea. Maybe it's like, oh,
Yeah.
he knows stuff. You know, he's older.
Yeah.
And
You
then
know
Brian
what?
Kanowski, he helped with the wrenches.
I'm pretty sure Aaron had the machine in that garage. I think. Whatever it was.
Because the grind place definitely started with Kanowski and his dad. Otherwise, you wouldn't need Aaron and Brian to both be the kind of the guys who provided the wrenches.
Either
I'm sure
way,
there was a good
either-
reason.
you gave it up too many pieces
And
of
I
the
love
pie.
Aaron Spawn, you know, and he definitely created like the mecca for rollerblading.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have no regrets about it, but looking back on it, I'm not sure exactly what the thinking was, but I'm sure there was some rationale.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we didn't know what we were
Um,
doing. That's the explanation, right?
Yeah.
How old
just
were you
wanted
guys?
people-
Yeah, but I guess-
Aaron is still building ramps to this day. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
big, ramp builder in action sports, which is cool.
Oh shit. How old were you guys when
Cool.
you were doing this? When you started it? When you first started Senate?
It's 21, he said,
20,
right?
20,
Both you guys are
2021, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Arlo's, you're younger than me, right, Arlo? How old are you now?
Well, I won't say that, but back then I was probably like a year younger than you.
Really? This is midlife crisis. You need to really tackle this, Arlo.
It just sounds so weird to say out loud. I'm 48. It doesn't
So
it doesn't feel
yeah.
real.
Yeah, I'm 49.
You
But
only
guys
gotta
are
say it for a few
great.
more
out loud
months.
makes it too real.
You only gotta say it for a few more months.
What's
Yeah.
that?
You only gotta say you're 48 for a few more months.
Oof.
Oh God!
Austin is
You
just.
got to do 50 tricks for your 50th birthday.
Are you doing it?
Release
Yeah.
a section.
Are you doing that?
Yeah.
Who knows?
You might have to.
It's a couple years. I got a couple years to think about it.
It's on the record though.
That'd be
So,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it's no rush. There's no rush.
Yeah, hit me up in 2 years. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I obviously want to talk a bit more about Senate. I know like a lot with Arlo specifically, like some of this stuff may have been through. Hopefully we don't touch on any of the stuff that we've been through, but obviously there was like a huge burst of, success with Senate in the beginning, and it was probably shocking to everyone involved. And I'm not sure what you saw like with as far as how far it could go, but were there already like from the beginning of the success, like companies trying to make offers to purchase it, or people interested in like being a part of it?
No, so listen. So first of all, it wasn't shocking. I mean, we were so arrogant, and it was such kind of like a magical time. Is we knew we were on a rocket, and we thought that it was to the moon. Like I thought there was nothing stopping rollerblading. I was not shocked by anything. The only thing I was shocked by is that it didn't keep going all the way. I mean, I just had such. I was so taken with the sport. I thought that it checked all the boxes. I just thought that it was just destined for greatness. But from very early on, we sold the company right away. I mean, as soon as we started making wheels, the wheel manufacturer that we were getting them from, which back then was Bravo, and a guy named Tom Peterson, is that right?
Yep.
He made us an offer, and he actually probably was the only savvy businessman we really did interact with in the early days. And he saw that there was a big future in it, and so he made us an offer right away. He said, "Listen, why don't you guys let us handle all the distribution, handle the manufacturing? We'll basically make you guys an exclusive licensing deal, basically." Or we ended up getting a real great contract out of it because they spent the next 10 years trying to get us out of the contract, because basically he was paying us on all gross proceeds. They didn't even pay us on revenue after expenses. We were just getting paid on the gross. And so what that meant for us is it didn't matter how much we spent on marketing, how much we spent on travel, how much we spent on anything. We were still getting paid off of the very top line.
Oh, wow.
And so that's why the company, they were always like, "Guys, we need to renegotiate the contract." And we were always like, "Why? We're good." And so we never did.
Yeah. See,
but
I don't
yes.
think he really knew how big it was going to go. Like,
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
and the number, I don't remember the number, but like I was saying, there were like 5 of us, and we were getting like, I remember the check for 15,000 for a month, you just get, and we were kids. And I don't think they really had a sense of how big it would go. And so, like Arlo said, they regretted the deal.
But so it was a pretty good deal for us. But what it meant was we didn't own the company. So Bravo owned the company almost from the inception.
You know what, Arlo? That deal actually, from memory, we still owned it. It was a license back. Like it was like a dual license thing. I don't understand.
Dude, back then, if they put a contract in front of me and I signed it, I have no idea what was in it. I couldn't tell you. So whatever Brooke says, I agree with him.
I mean, but we were making no money like in '93. So like the sense that we were like, fuck yeah, give us some money. That's great.
Right, exactly. We can keep grinding grind plates in our garage and sell them to our friends for a couple bucks a pop. Or they're saying, "Guys, we can ramp this up instantly." And we're like, "Yeah, let's do it." Because Brooke and I were concept idea guys. We weren't in it for the grind necessarily. We wanted to do big stuff. Like we had big concepts, big ideas, and it's like if they wanted to bankroll it and we can get paid, it's like that's what we want. Yeah, let's do it.
Now, I also need to correct. Like there was a year where we were making the bribes and the C notes were us. Like that whole period, that was just us. So I think you've compacted it a little bit, Arlo. There was 2 whole runs of wheels, I think, that we went through, and then they started to see it taking off. Right?
Yeah, he's right. So that's the whole reason we had the relationship with him and why he made us the offer is because we went to them. We were like, we need wheels, because I was skating on anti-rocker wheels, which were skateboard wheels, and nobody was making them. I mean, this is sort of the one of the archetypal origin stories for Senate, but that no one was making anti-rocker wheels. Kryptonics was making little soft wheels that that were still would bite on ledges and stuff. And Hyper was making bigger, their Fat Boy wheels, but no one would make little hard wheels. So we bought skateboard wheels from Bravo and printed our own graphics on them, and we sold those as anti-rocker wheels. That's what anti-rocker wheels were. And so he's right. We did bribes and C notes, and we did a couple of runs of those on our own. And then sometime after that is when they said, "Hey guys, how would you like to sort of ramp this up?" And even from then on, I mean, I want to be clear about something. Once we sold entered the relationship with Bravo, part of our arrangement with them was we had no interest in working for Bravo. We're doing this to do our own autonomous company. So we got our own offices separate from Bravo. We had our own staff. We did our own marketing. You know what I mean? None of it was, when we say that we were, when Brooke says we did it, on our own up until a certain point, the truth is for all of Senate's existence, it was just us.
We did it all.
We happened to have the financial arrangement with Bravo until the end, when rollerblading started to take its dive and the money wasn't there to sustain Senate on its own. And they said, guys, you can't have your own office. We're going to bring you into Bravo corporate. And guys, you can't work just on Senate. You got to start working on some of our other brands. And it wasn't long after that when I left. That was sort of when it lost I lost the passion for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd already gone by then. So there was a real, if you look back at the timeline, there's a real clear delineation between everything being awesome and then me leaving and everything being shithouse, I think is what Arlo's saying.
How long until you
Nice. There is an interesting thing about Brooke leaving that I want to talk about. That I think I want to talk about. Oh, you know what? Maybe not.
You're not going to talk about how you sued me, are you?
Yeah.
Well, talk about it, Arlo.
Arlo sued me. I wasn't going to bring that up, Arlo.
Kicked out of Senate. So after he went back, after I say generously for myself that he went back to New Zealand, but after I got him banished back to New Zealand, it was hard for him to contribute to Senate. This was before Zoom. It was before kind of the remote revolution. And so on a day-to-day basis, it was hard for Brooke to be involved. He would call in and, he would try what he could. But, running a company, you just got to kind of be there and doing stuff. And we were getting big checks from Senate. And so I started to get resentful. I'm like, what Brooke is making the exact same we all are, and we're busting our asses, and he's not. And not only that, he's working on England. And, to be fair, all of us were always working on other projects. But it just felt like it was something that needed to be rectified. So we started getting lawyers.
So that's why you gave the wrong answers, huh?
Would have these. What's that?
So that's why you gave the wrong answers.
To what?
When he was trying to get in the country?
To INS.
Oh, exactly. Yes.
You knew what to say.
Yeah.
You know what to say. It was subconscious. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, it didn't happen in that order, obviously. So it was because he was gone that it started to become, I think, a sore spot. But
right.
So maybe that is interesting or not. But the one thing that I really want to point out about it, or that always stuck with me, and it kind of goes back to this theme of being able to separate kind of the cold corporate realities of business and from the sort of the interpersonal relationships, the bigger conceptual creative stuff that happens. But throughout all of that, no matter how shitty the talks were, and the things what we were trying to do to Brooke was shitty, right? He would always call after we would have a meeting, and he would call just to shoot the shit. It'd be like he was making a clear and deliberate point that, guys, this is all. He even said it explicitly to me at one time. He said, this what we're doing with the lawyers. I feel like everything that's happened with Senate is just all fantasy, right? We just sort of lucked into this amazing thing. So I don't take it too seriously. He said, but our friendships are what matter. That's real. And so he would always make these personal calls where we weren't talking about the lawyers. We weren't talking about all the acrimony from the contracts. It was just to remind us that at the end of the day, we are all friends.
You made that story nice because I was like, oh, don't bring up how Arlo sued you.
Yeah, well, I thought you were going to get to that point. What happened with that?
Yeah. There was a settlement. They paid me out So they bought me out of the company.
Is that why
And
you
then
were trying?
I put that money into Pointer, and it went so good.
Oh, is that how Pointer got started?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know any of that. So Arlo, you tried suing Brooke to get him out of the company? Is that what you
He
like to
didn't
buy?
try suing me.
Oh,
He
whatever
did
you
sue.
sued, whatever. So that was the whole point of it. Okay.
Yeah, we were trying to get him out of the company.
Brooke
We're
was
trying-
just
yeah.
Brooke was just sitting back collecting checks.
Yeah, and also I was very involved in England, and England was like, had this kind of a cool vibe about it, and so it was probably it was just Anyways, it
Yeah,
was
so when
kind
you
of
guys
a
talked
natural
about
transition.
when you guys talked about kind of the fall of rollerblading and how that probably felt like kind of a surprise, right? And because Senate was so successful and all this stuff. But there actually was a period of time well before rollerblading's fall where Senate took a fall. And just like Brooke said, where everything else was cooler than Senate. And so even though Senate was like bankrolling all these things, but like, when Brooke talks about having a lazy team at Oxygen, at Senate, our whole team, and I was guilty of it also, right? I owned Senate, and I would wear fiction shirts whenever I went out to skate, or Rise Above, right? We all skated for Senate. We all got paychecks from Senate. Senate was the biggest clothing company in rollerblading, yet we all had separate clothing sponsors. And so it's like, even though the biggest paycheck anyone was getting was from Senate, right? We were financing all those pro skaters. Whenever we were out skating, it was never the thing we were promoting. And a big part of it was it didn't feel cool anymore, right? It felt like the big kind of status quo company, and everybody, it's just the nature of rollerblading and kind of action sports. You always want kind of like the hottest, freshest thing, and Senate just wasn't it. And that's why we did the big shakeup, which, I think probably over the course of history, or looking back on it, probably was not, a savvy move. But at the time, we thought it was necessary to like sort of revitalize Senate.
Yeah.
I didn't know you guys all had clothing sponsors while still being on Senate. That sounds completely counterproductive right there.
It was
That doesn't
crazy.
make any sense.
But not only had clothing sponsors, but we're starting clothing companies, right?
Yeah, that too.
Even in Senate, we started 976. You know what I mean? It's like we were always cannibalizing our own profits.
Is that just like the urge to create more within that, or like
yes, that's
like
part
more
of it.
paychecks? Like, what is it like?
No, it's the creative impulse, right? It's the same thing that makes you want to rep the latest, coolest thing as creators and creative people. You always want to be creating something cool, right? Mm-hmm. And it's easier to create something new and cool than to sustain something and keep it fresh and cool. So the companies that can do that, again, when we talk about John Julio's longevity and how he is able to sustain like credibility and authenticity and be cool and fresh over many years, that's when you've really accomplished something. It's not that hard to have a hot flash in the pan, right? So like, credit to John Julio. I mean, there's no limit to the accolades and the plaudits we could give him, but yeah, that's just another one of them.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, we're talking about all this like downfall of Senate and everything, but what was like, for you guys, what was the highlight of Senate? What was like the most your most proudest moment with Senate?
I can talk about some of the stupid things if you want. We bought a prison bus. The prison bus is like the stupidest decision we made. And,
what was that for?
We were making so much money that, and like I'm not good with money anyways. Like I'll spend on stupid things sometimes. I think I spent like $20,000 on those rims, right? Did I remember we got the rims for the prison bus? And this bus it had bulletproof glass. It was like this big old prison bus. And the idea was we were going to drive our team members around in it. I think no air conditioning, right? Is that right? There was no aircon? There was no air conditioning.
Oh, probably not.
And it would break down, and it looked like it had the big rims on it. It was just, we would spend money on stupid shit.
It was pretty sick. It was sick. I mean, because it was painted like a prison bus. Like, it was black and white, and we wrote "Kill Team" on the side of it. I mean, it probably looked like a real menace going down the street, and it had like gates on the windows. Yeah. And we actually took it out. Like, the Kill Team went out and did a tour on it. It was pretty sick. They put a PlayStation or something in there with or whatever you play Mortal Kombat on.
Yeah. What else did we do? We built that ramp. The warehouse next door. We rented the warehouse next door.
Yeah.
We had this huge warehouse, and we filled the entire warehouse with a ramp set up. Right, you couldn't almost walk in. It was all ramp. Is that right, Arlo?
Yeah, right. Basically, wall-to-wall ramps. We filled it up with ramps. That was cool.
Was that the one with the spine?
Fun skating it.
Was that the one with the spine?
Yes.
Spine with the
exactly.
cord that went up to the wall?
The wall ride.
What? Oh, I didn't know that was the Senate warehouse.
Yeah, it was Senate
And
warehouse.
it wasn't. It was we rented a warehouse next door, and there was a period where we were so, again, this is this arrogance. The story that I like that sums it up for me is I wouldn't wear clothes twice. I would go to the warehouse and just get new clothes every day.
Yeah.
Just don't. Yeah.
So
Insane.
Rawlinson used to come to the warehouse, and like when he would go on a trip, like an international trip for a tour or something, he would come and he would pick out from 976 and Senate a new pair of jeans to take for each day that he was going to be on the trip. I'm like, dude, you don't have to wear a brand new pair of pants each day. It was so insane. And so he'd have these giant suitcases too, but then we'd probably come home with nothing because I bet he would just leave it all behind. But when I think of like Senate and excesses and stuff, or just kind of like, symbolically like what represents that time. And I wasn't even here for this, but I always think about Brooke, you jumping your Audi, however you pronounce that car, off like sand dunes or whatever.
A motorcycle whoop-dee track that had a jump in it. I went and bought this car. I told you, like $42,000 cash. I had to put it in Jess's name because I was like illegal there. I didn't have a license, and we took it out to these dunes, and the cameraman, I don't know why we were filming there, but anyways, there was a jump, and I was driving. I got in, the cameraman was in the back seat, and I said, "Listen, I think this is going to get a bit hectic." He said, "Mate," he didn't say mate because he was American. He said, "Son, I was in Vietnam," and then so I thought that I took that as a challenge, and so it hit the whoops, and then jumped the car. And like kind of landed, and like massive, this incredible sound. And I was doing donuts, and I noticed there was this big trail of black stuff wherever I was going. It was like painting this kind of like black pattern. And then the car just stopped because I'd ripped all of the oil, the oil pan off. And so I managed to get this thing to the freeway, and it like stopped at the freeway. And I called Audi. I was like, that car that you sold me is just completely stopped. And they were like so apologetic. They sent a car out, they picked us up, and they towed the car back. And they were like super, super apologetic. And then, like, because I'm an idiot, when they lifted it up, there's just like kilos and kilos of rocks. And underneath it was like completely red. And so we fixed the car. And Josh Petty, if you're watching this, borrowed it. That Audi was like, got so, like, I just remember he smoked. And he didn't have the kind of wherewithal to not continually burn the side of the car with his cigarette. Like, why he was smoking in my car. And then I got kicked out. And then Jess, Darren Forth, and Ethan sold it and bought a boat with my car money. So that's the Audi. But yeah, great stuff.
So you're really good at spending money. What was the greatest achievement that you did with Senate? Like, what were you most proud about with Senate? There's got to be something that you guys are for each or together that you were able to achieve with that.
It was cool, full stop. I think the year that it really blew up, and would be in like Eastern Europe or somewhere like in Czechoslovakia and in the Czech Republic, and you'd see someone wearing a Senate shirt. That was an incredible feeling the first time you saw kids wearing it anywhere. And obviously by the time Hoax Tour happened, and you turn up, there's those scenes where, we're jumping off the bus, and every kid would be wearing Senate. I think, like I said, 700,000 T-shirts or something like that in 97.
Yeah. For me, Senate was the accomplishment, right? It was the idea. Like Senate represented something. When some guy was on Instagram was texting me ahead of this appearance, and he's talking about, he's like, oh, if you guys bring Senate back, then my Senate tattoo, then it won't just be an old company, it'll be like a new current company. But people have Senate tattoos, and it's meaningful to them. Like when you talk about Senate, it represents something about that time, and for about the people that were around in that time. Like it was an idea, and to me, that's what I'm most proud about, right? That we built kind of that brand, that it meant something.
Yeah, I totally agree.
That makes sense. Like the how it contributed to the culture and like impacted the culture and was such a deep part of the culture is like such a huge thing to be proud of, especially like having done it at such a young age, and it having the impact that it did, and it having the reach that it did. Yeah, that in and of itself, I could see being just like such a massive accomplishment. So I know it had a huge impact on me, like when I was a young kid looking, and just like the Halo Senate thing was just like, if you had that, you were a cool kid.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have it. I wasn't a
Yeah.
cool kid. But I would just be like, yo, look how I got like the sticker, and I put it on like my skate until it fell off. But that shit was like the best
Yeah.
thing.
Arlo,
Billy,
did-
you are a cool kid.
Culturally, I could see that. And like you said, it'll never be nice.
Arlo, did you design the Halo, the Senate
Look
Halo
at that.
logo?
It's a classic.
Yeah.
That was you. That's like one of the most iconic logos also in skating ever. Billy said it perfect because I never thought about it until just now also, but I always wanted the Halo shirt or like the hoodie or something like that. I remember getting the Team Paradise catalog, and it was like the first page was always like Senate, and it was like all that stuff, ultra wides, everything was so this biggest trend, and Senate was probably the most successful skate company. And
Oh, certainly. I tell you, I remember when we were doing like those crazy jeans. You know, one of the interesting things about Senate was just like the sense of happy accident with the cords, right, Arlo? With what was the drawstrings in the pants? That idea that we happened to make these drawstrings in the pants the year people started because people started buying them to kind of put the one leg up, right? The gangster thing.
Oh, really? I don't remember.
Anyways, okay. Long story short, I think I hadn't been a part, like, for that to be our first company and for it to do what it did, because it was uniquely, the growth was so uniquely insane. It was, it made everything else. It's made everything else kind of like pale in comparison in terms of the speed of its growth. It was just an incredible experience to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Until now.
Until now.
Right. So
could you tell that I was setting that up? Segue.
yeah. Well done.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a perfect segue.
Right?
Thanks, guys.
I caught it.
Yeah.
that's a perfect segue. So go into it because you guys are going to introduce it better than we can probably.
So when I say I hadn't been a part of anything as like, we had this incredible experience as like young people. The last 8 months of my life have been amazing. I've been lucky enough to be a part of like a runaway freight train that's just like Senate. It's this incredible wave. I started a company called Non-Fungible Labs in February, and now it's one of the biggest NFT companies, and it's helping build this new paradigm of flipping communities and turning communities into owners of brands. So like everything that you guys loved about Senate, that sense of like the sticker and you being a part of it, it was an older paradigm where you were just customers. NFTs, and some of you guys will understand, some people out there would have started getting into NFTs, allow us now to create these brands that the people actually own a part. They're invested in the success of the brand. And very early on, when things started to go well with Non-Fungible Labs, we've got a thing called Fluff World that's done $120 million in 4 months. It's like gone crazy, like crazy. But very early on, I was like, I think that Arlo, like his ability to build a brand is the perfect opportunity for us to collaborate again, to build a community company around Arlo's creativity. I love Drug Receipts. I'm a fan. I've been watching it. And so I came to Arlo and I said, I think there's an opportunity to get this community that exists that has a sense of a love for you as a brand, Arlo as a brand, and wants to be a part of it. So that's a pretty clumsy introduction, Arlo. Do you want to take over?
I think that's pretty good. And listen, I'm like most people, we're learning about all this right now, kind of in real time. Like I did not know much about NFTs before Brooke presented the idea to me, and I got kind of a crash course in it. But the things that I learned about it and what Brooke showed me, I mean, it speaks to me, right? If Senate had been, if Senate was around at a different time, or if we had the tools that we have now back then, I mean, back then it was basically a one-way conversation, right? We were presenting our ideas to the world, and you guys were all around the world sort of taking it in. But now it's turned into a dialogue. It's a two-way conversation. Like you can be communicating with your audience, with your community in real time, and it becomes kind of like this feedback loop, right? And to me, that's really attractive. especially now with social media and podcasts and these kinds of things where there is a lot more interaction. To be able to kind of capture that and like sort of ramp it up and turn it into a real thing, because now it's just sort of me talking about telling stories, but I have ideas. For the better part of 30 years, I've been creating graphics. I've been sort of creating this narrative thread, and it's sort of been this consistent like ethos, right? These consistent ideas, and now finally there's like the perfect forum for it. So I'm here for it. I mean, I just couldn't be more excited about this. And like Brooke said, I've been doing drug receipts for the last 5 years, but again, it's just sort of me toiling away on my own just because I can't stop the creative impulse. And so I'm doodling on just receipts, and it's finding its audience. But now if we can turn it into something where, we can grow that audience and we can amplify the message and like do all these things, it feels like I was made for this moment, honestly. I mean, even the fact that I've been building this skill set, on computers, like learning how to illustrate and design graphics on digitally for the last 30 years. And that's until this year, guys, essentially, there was never even any way to monetize that except for selling it to other people or putting it on t-shirts and selling the shirts. Now, for the first time, digital artists, you can create digital art and there's actually innate value in it. And not only that, because the actual digital assets have their own value, you can do so much more with a digital asset than with a t-shirt. All I can do with this stupid t-shirt is cut it up and put it on and flex on a podcast. But with the digital asset, it's a living thing. You can constantly change it, update it, change the background, change the color of the skates. It's just, dude, it's so cool and exciting. I feel like I'm like almost getting overly animated about it. It really gets my my gears turning.
I wanted to ask real quick, just because this is like going like for like the cavemen like me who are still like learning like what NFT is. Would you mind just like doing a brief, just short explanation of what that is? Because there are some people are like really on top of it and understanding. Some people are a little confused by what that may be. So could you just briefly get into that?
Yeah. So if you want to start at the very beginning, the blockchain is a ubiquitous ledger, a ledger that exists across the internet. It's immutable, and a blockchain tracks transactions. And for a very long time, the last 5 or 6 years, it's been growing. Blockchain has been growing with cryptocurrencies and the DeFi space, decentralized finance, and it's been growing. But it was unless you're into currency trading, it was complete. It's pretty boring. NFTs have exploded because they are the translation of that blockchain technology into culture and art. And what they allow you to do, a non-fungible token, by the way, I'll just get into the details of this. Something that's fungible means that it is identical. If you lend me $10, and I give you back $10 next week, you don't know if it's the same $10 bill or a different one. They're identical on purpose. Non-fungible things are not identical. So you are a non-fungible asset, or a house or a piece of art. Anyway, so back into it. Why are non-fungible tokens interesting, and why are they blowing up? Well, they allow people, artists, musicians, brands to connect with their community and in a completely different way. So it is a contract that's connected to the art, and that contract allows those people that have purchased that art to have a direct contact. So I can using a non-fungible token, I can build a community and send them all a ticket to an event via their NFT into their wallet. I can, if someone has a certain type of art, I can send them a different benefit than someone else. I'm doing a terrible job of this. I do this for a living.
No. It's good. It makes sense. I actually have like a pretty decent understanding of what it is. Like my friend explained it to me in like ways of having like an old baseball ticket or something like that, where it's just like one of one. It's like one of its kind, and it's like that in digital form for like layman's terms and like a very basic idea, like or one of 10 or one of however many things. So I think that's my understanding of it. I'm very new to this. Like I say, I'm like a caveman in this way,
But in the old world, we had customers at Senate. If you buy a non-fungible token, one of 10,000 of a collection, you are invested in making sure that that collection's value increases, because as its value, the whole collection's value increases. You're one of 10,000. Its value increases. So you end up with these communities that start to create in and around the collections. They create their own derivative art forms.
Very cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
They have events, and the amazing thing is, like, so Arlo Eisenberg, we know that there are tens of thousands of people, and Arlo's art means something to them. And the moment those 10,000 people buy that art, things like Discord allow them to connect with each other, and they can have a conversation about the art. Now, at the moment, those layers of social media and advertisers that are disconnecting the creators and the customers or the consumers, they suddenly disappear. Arlo can connect directly with everyone that is passionate about his art, and they can connect with each other. And that community is constantly then starts pushing it and building its momentum, because they've got an investment in that community. And so I'm sorry if I did a terrible job of explaining
No.
But you're watching Bored Ape Yacht Club become the biggest brand in the world. In 6 months, they've done $1 billion in sales. In 6 months. And, Adidas is now probably on their way to buying them. You saw Nike bought Artifact this week for $200 million. And it's only 6 months old. And the reason these things are growing so fast is the 10,000 or 4,000, 5,000 people that own them have become these onboarded advocates, these zealots, these, ambassadors for the brand. So it's a really exciting way to flip the old customer corporate model on its head.
And
Very cool.
they hold their value too, an increase in value too, in most cases, hopefully. So there's resale value in that as well.
Well, you have to build a community. If
Yeah.
you just drop an NFT and then leave it, it will it won't maintain its value. Mm-hmm. The idea is you drop the art and then you start to build. So for us with Fluff World, which is this phenomenon, we're throwing events. I'm actually throwing events with Mark Shays, who's a rollerblader from back in the day. So we're throwing events. We send them gifts. We surprise and delight. We drop NFTs into their wallets. We're constantly communicating with them. And it's that sense of building a community that adds the future value. You're buying a membership to a community, not a piece of art. And that signal, the flex of wearing that piece of art now, or if you've got, your piece, you're wearing it, or if it's your profile photo, it becomes an indicator of something that you're passionate about. And what we hope will happen with drug receipts is that if you see someone's got that profile photo, regardless of where they are or if it's sitting in their wallet, you'll know you have something in common with them. You are probably a rollerblader or a fan of Arlo's art. And bam, there's that connection immediately. And so that flex becomes something relevant. So it's no different than wearing that Senate sticker on your skate, but it's in the new world where digital flex is everything, signaling what you're passionate about online.
Okay, and if I could add just something to it, just as a creator and an artist, because it definitely is buying a piece of art, but because of all the different functionality that's built into it, and because of what you can do with the digital asset, it's so much more than that. But to the point about buying a piece of art, because the common criticism that's thrown at NFTs is like, oh, so you're paying $100,000 for a JPEG? Like I can download it on my computer right now for free. And kind of intuitively that makes sense. That complaint is like, yeah, what is the difference? But really, that kind of misunderstands sort of how collectibles and how art work. Because the truth is, people collect, Magic the Gathering cards and Pokemon cards and baseball cards, and any one of those could probably be reproduced pretty easily as well, right? We have the capability. You can go to a printer, you can find the card stock, whatever, and have probably an exact replica. But the way that they retain their value is through authentication and through declaring and recognizing that something is an original, however that's defined. And the blockchain allows us to do that with digital assets. For the first time, that is something that digital assets have always lacked, as a way to verify their authenticity. So this notion that they're no different than JPEG, well, it's not really any different than saying, oh, I could go make an exact replica of a Picasso print right now and have it and hang it on my wall. Sure, you can, and you might enjoy it, but you could never resell it for any money, because the value comes not just from the actual aesthetic quality of the art, but also from its authenticity or from its ability to be verified. And that's what the blockchain does for digital art.
Yeah, provenance is so important. Like I try to explain it to people that, you can hold a 1963 Elvis Presley Heartbreak Hotel record, like a first press. You can hear that on the radio, and it's not the same thing. You could make a tape of it, but it's not the same thing. Provenance and a story connection with the artist is really important. So this is, you guys are the first people seeing this. No one else has seen this yet.
Brooke, is this you sharing your screen?
Oh, what's that?
Is that you sharing the screen over here?
Yeah, can you see it?
First of all, I have no idea how you did that because I never seen that before.
Welcome to NFTs, motherfucker. He just hacked your world.
Let's see.
Yeah, so can the people at home see this?
Hold on, let me get rid of this overlay. Like I said,
Brooke, I don't know
never
what that
knew
is,
you
but
could
gotta
do this.
Refresh your cache. That is the old site.
Oh, is that the old site? Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Arlo, do you want to share the new site?
I don't know. You did. I'm the art guy.
Whoa!
I'm
Look
the
at
NFT
me!
guy.
Holy fuck!
Oh,
Okay.
see, now you screwed everything up, Brooke. What are you doing?
What are you guys doing?
I have
Mickey
no
Mouse
idea.
operation.
Okay, shit, Arlo, why don't you go pull it up?
I'm picturing.
Billy and Austin have the link. They can do it.
I have the link. I just
Yeah,
now
why don't you do that?
everything's screwed up because.
Meanwhile, I'm like,
You can't do any worse than Brooke did.
Hold on, here we go. Boom. No.
This
Get out of
podcast.
here.
Is this the kind of show you guys run, Austin and Billy?
This is. You just screwed us all up. Oh, that's not right.
I'm just the looks and the personality. Austin's the tech guy.
Yeah, I get screwed with
And-
all this stuff.
By the way, just while you're bringing that up, to the point of JPEGs, essentially, I want everyone to have this. I want people to download the JPEGs and take them for free. I mean, we're gonna, that's why I put them out on my social media. We want the art to be out there, but also for the people that want to own it, there's a way for that to be facilitated as well. And I think, and that's the only difference between being a creator 2 years ago or 20 years ago and being a creator now is there's a way to actually build value into the actual assets.
All right, do you see this? Do you see it now?
Yeah, it looks
Okay.
awesome.
There you go.
That looks amazing.
We should have had you doing it all along. And Austin, if you hover over any of those four
Yeah, they move, right?
Tiles,
Hang on.
they change to kind of different views.
See, that's what's
exactly.
cool about these. So these are going to be the actual NFTs you're talking about, pretty much.
Yes, this is pretty close. I mean, as we said, we're still probably about a month at least away from actually minting these and releasing them. But this is the first time that Brooke and I have acknowledged this anywhere, that we're actually doing this project together. We did send it together, obviously 30 years ago or whatever it was. And I got him kicked out of the country. I tried to kick him out of the Senate. And now here we are 30 years later, going into a new project, a new creative endeavor together.
And
it's just really,
I think
it feels really
I'm
cool.
also trying to get back into the country, and I'm guessing that it's going to end the same way. That I'll
No.
out
Don't say
again,
it. So-
and he's going to sue me again.
No, just like John Julio is paying his penance for introducing the sidewalk into rollerblading, I am trying to make good on getting Brooke kicked out of the country. So this is kind of like my payback to him is we're going to do this together.
Yeah,
What's Tyler Shields' involvement in this?
So when Brooke called me, first approached me about doing the NFTs, within 24 hours, literally, Tyler called with the exact same idea. It just the way things were all coming together, the way that the stars were aligning. Because Tyler, I guess I'm sure he doesn't need this introduction, but he since rollerblading, we've talked about what Brooke has done in his year since rollerblading. He's a huge success. Well, Tyler has gone on to become one of the most renowned fine art photographers in the world, the most collectible fine art photographer. The only
Who used to be a pro skater?
living
just so people
artist
don't
to
know.
have a solo show at Sotheby's, right? I mean, big stuff. It's so incredible. But Tyler is a great, great friend. And so similar to what happened with Brooke, it's and Tyler has done some NFT releases of his own fine art. And we don't have to go too deep into the woods with this or too deep into the weeds with this, but they're kind of slightly different models. Like what we're doing with, what Brooke has done with Fluff World and what we're doing with Drug Receipts, they're called generative releases. And basically, like you were showing on the website, there's going to be tons of characters, right? We're going to release 10,000. Each one's going to be unique. But so that's one model, and that's kind of like the Pokemon model, right? Where they're all sold for the same price, and then the value is determined kind of after the fact. Some are more rare, some are more desirable. Some people maybe just really think that the one riding bomb is really cool, and they want that. So whatever, the market will sort that out. But with the fine art release, something with Tyler Shields, the value is innate in each piece. He's releasing basically one of ones, and and those trade for whatever value those pieces are worth. And because he is such a highly sought after and collected artist, he's able to command a nice price.
He's going to do well.
So all that is to say, we all had the same idea around the same time. And so instead of sort of dividing it up or trying to figure out how to navigate these separate projects, we're like, why don't we just all go in together and do it? We've all got separate skills and separate traits that we can bring to the project, and they're all really complementary. Tyler has kind of the fine art world, right? He's got the network of collectors and galleries and gallerists and all that. And he's got a huge following in his own right? So he's got a huge influence in that way. Brooke has the NFT space cornered. They're innovative leaders. They've had several mega hit releases already. And
we're in the middle of a release
innovators
right now. You can buy party beers starting
very
day to day.
Which one is it? It's party beers.
Party beers. So we're doing something with the guys that do BoJack Horseman and Robot Chicken. We're releasing like a really cool community, kind of like DJ AI beer that DJs. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and of course, and I'm bringing the art, the intellectual property, kind of the creative backbone that will steer the project and be the heart and soul of it. And so but it just has the added benefit. We each bring separate things, but we also together bring the shared history. We all come from rollerblading. We've all been friends for so long. And then unlike doing Senate, where we were all young and dumb and it was just all by the seat of our pants. Now we're coming back together 30 years later with all this knowledge, all these skills that we built outside of rollerblading in our own lives. And now we can really put those assets together and turn this into something really special.
And guys, can I share? I'm going to share screens again and show you something kind of cool.
Oh, you're going to fuck us up. I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, I can't. I'm going to do it.
I lost it last time. All right.
Break it. Here we go.
I see us.
So guys,
can you email it to us? Email it to Jump Street. Can you just email it to Jump Street really quick? The link?
No, because it's Discord. I want to show you guys
Can I open
the
up
community.
Oh yeah,
concept.
I'm not signed in on the Discord.
Yeah, don't. I'm going to stop sharing. It's okay. Guys,
well, we have a link in the description for the drugreceipts.com website, and the Discord's in there as well for anybody who wants to check it out afterwards and check out the Discord as well, correct?
So yes, Tyler Shields, just really quickly, Brooke, just to finish that thought, because Tyler is going to be in the Discord, and Brooke and I are going to go on there afterwards and have a Q&A. And if anyone has any more questions about the history of Senate, or especially about kind of the future of drug receipts, we'll be happy to answer them there. And if there's any more questions about NFTs or that entire space. Yeah.
But guys, we have an opportunity to flip social right now, which is like a data theft, awful engine. Like Facebook is an awful company that sells your data. You are the product. And these communities, Discord, they're owned communities, owned by the people. And the ability for us to connect on a better level. So at the moment, my connection with rollerblading is the rollerblading group, which I get to see like every now and then I might be able to connect with people. I want to reconnect with the TJ Webbers and the Dustin Lanimers and all these people that were a part of my life, but I want to do it in a place that is far more kind of like community driven, and also in a place where we can, all the value we add to that community, we are adding to ourselves. We're not just making Facebook rich, advertising to ourselves. We're making Arlo rich, and that's so important. No, we're making you're invested. Interestingly, with NFTs, the secondary sales, that's where like most people, if we build a really strong community, everybody does well out of it. That's the whole point of NFTs. Like a Bored Ape Yacht Club that they sold for like $500. 6 months ago, they're now $250,000 because those people have invested into the community, built the derivative art, and generated all this hype. And so we really see this as a way to form a community around some amazing artwork, but also to flip the model on its head as to how content can be shared and monetized.
But so I hope that all the people that are paying money to shit on us in the chat, you can come into the Discord and shit on us for free. So we're here for it. Bring it on. We're open to having any conversations or any concerns, because you see this so much. Like I said, this is all new to me. When Brooke first introduced the idea about 3 months ago, and I sort of have been getting trained up on the NFT space and the community and all that stuff, there's no question you see a ton of sort of money grabs, cash grabs, like just sort of fly by night, throw up some haphazard art and just try to get a quick paycheck or payout. So there is definitely that element to it. And if anyone has those concerns, we're happy to talk about them. I think one of the real nice things about what Brooke brings to the table, in addition to all the other things that we talked about, is they have built real communities with real NFT projects. It's why he wanted to bring up the Discord, the Fluff World Discord, because I think it's the reason they've been so successful is because people trust them. They trust them with their investment. They know that they're delivering a quality product, but they are also making good on their promises. They're in it for the long term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm really excited. It's an experiment, and we're gonna, Arlo and I'm already like just so overwhelmed by how good the art is. I want to buy it. Everyone we've shown it to has gone like, holy shit, that's amazing art. And we always knew it was going to be amazing because Arlo doesn't do things in halves. So it's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, and Austin, you said these things are things that are going to appreciate, right? They go up in value.
Yeah.
And no one knows that. With any collectible, any commodity, you don't know. You could buy, invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum today, and maybe they'll crash tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But the expectation, all indications are that this stuff is here to stay and that they're going to keep rising. But I'm not here to make any promises. This is brand new. Yeah. Maybe NFTs will fall on their face in a month, next year, whatever. Who knows? But for now, there's something to it. There's something exciting about it. It feels like it's, the premise makes sense. The digital world's not going anywhere. If anything, it's only ramping up. So yes, I'm not trying to sell you a bill of goods here. If you don't get it, if it's not for you, no worries. Stay away from it. But if you think it's cool, and we're trying to listen, I've been staying up every night for the past 3 months, busting my ass, trying to just because I want it to look cool. I want it to be super awesome. So if you like that, then we're here for you.
My last.
And if you don't if you don't want to pay for it, you can have it for free. It's, you know what I mean? It's all out there. I want you to have the art. I'm not asking anyone to pay for it. But if you think that there's value in it, then that option is available to you also.
Guys, you guys are celebrating 10,000, having 10,000 subscribers, right? And this is what I explain to musicians who are like living on nothing right now with like 5,000 super fans. If they can convince 5,000 super fans that over the next 2 years the musician will deliver them great content, live tickets, things like that, and they can convince 5,000 super fans to pay $200. That's $1 million. These are musicians, so we're seeing this in NFTs. Musicians with tiny audiences are able to generate real money, and then once they've got that money, they can, build this concert series. They can create better content, and they can start to really deliver great content into those communities. So Patreon is a great idea, but I guarantee that you guys can do a better job of funding Jump Street, which is an awesome. Your 5,000, your 10,000 followers. If you said to them, 2 years, 3 years, podcast, access to the podcast, community, conversations, exclusive content, clothing, you give us $200 for 3 years, that's $1 million, guys. 2 million if you get all 10,000 of them. Unbelievable, right?
Billy, you want to make $1 million real quick?
Yeah.
Fucking mind blowing. And guys, I'm not talking shit. We've done $120 million in 4 months on NFTs.
Yeah.
So it's not like imaginary stuff and me pretending, anyways, moving along, we don't need to talk about that too much more.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention. Like I said, in the description of the video, we have a link to the Drug Receipts website where you can check out the Discord, check out some of their artwork, and find out when you can buy the NFTs when they do launch. Am I correct by saying that?
Yep.
All that info?
Yep.
Okay.
Sometime mid-January, early February, we'll launch it.
Gotcha. So, obviously everybody here should know
that's
you
exciting.
guys and Arlo's work. So, we watched a little bit. Now, if you're listening now, go check it out because the artwork is sick. It's amazing. It's a whole new platform, a whole new way to buy Arlo's work. So, like Arlo said, if it's for you, it's for you. If not, you don't have to do anything. Watch it.
How do they get
If it's not, it's still for
I'll-
you. 'Cause you can have it for free. You can have it either way. It's all out there for you. And you can go to drugreceipts.com if you want a sneak peek of the art, see what's and learn about the space.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And Tyler's in the Discord now. And guys, we do want to do a Q&A in there. Can we do that? Like, is that something
so-
we want to wrap this up?
So let's do that. We'll do a Q&A here,
Brooke,
a
you know what?
skate-related
Brooke,
one maybe.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go get some food because we don't need me to host anymore. Brooke's like, can we do a Q&A in here? Listen, I'm gonna go.
So
I'm gonna go
you gotta-
grab a beer and a slice really quick. I'll be right back.
Let me. Well.
No,
Let's.
I was just gonna say, let's do this Q&A. And
Yeah, we'll do a
let's
Q&A
go.
here, maybe a
But I'm
skate-related
gonna-
Q&A, and we'll do an NFT-related Q&A at the Discord. Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Since that
cool.
could be
Yeah,
more
sounds
focused
good.
there. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
I mean,
So
the Q&A could be whatever the guest wanted to be.
It
It's
could
not
be.
up to
Yeah,
us.
exactly.
Yeah.
it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick before we get into the Q&A session of this episode, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Blank. Everybody check out the new Sean Keen Pro Model skate. I believe they did have a small release already, but you could pre-order the skates. Check them out on Instagram at Blank Rolling Products. Thank you for supporting the show. And like we say every episode, we prioritize the super chats. We split our super chats with our guests. So anybody wants to get your question to the top of the list, super chat us if you're watching it live. And if not, we're going to try to get to as many questions as we can. So let's start off with the super chats real quick. We have first one from Tim Hawk, who says, I have a copy of Blades on Fire, best Brooke Howard Smith video.
So incredible video. That could be an NFT right there.
And who knows, NFTs could be, they are evolving. It's new. It's like Arlo said, it's brand new. It's something that, you know, you compare it to the internet. When the internet first came out, people were like, oh, we could write emails, but it became so much more. And that could be the same thing with
right.
NFTs as well. Tim also said he super chatted in the beginning of the show before we aired. And he said, please put the old Senate videos as VOD classics.
Yeah.
Were there 3 Senate videos?
Oh, dude. Oh, wait. What are Senate videos? Oh, Day of the Rope.
What I say?
Day of the Rope,
Day of the
yeah.
Rope. Stand fast.
No, because when you said Senate videos, for some reason my wires were crossed. So I was thinking of hoax videos, but you're right. Yeah, Senate videos.
Yeah. What I said.
I watched Day of the Rope the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's one of my first videos. Day of the Rope.
Yeah.
Keep it on
classic.
with the super chats. Michael Stewart, who asks, "What's the story behind the song from the credit section of VG20?"
This is Arizona, is that right?
Yeah.
I had a band called Fierce Asian Gang that was and we would write crazy drunk songs. And I think I was there. Julio came. Was Latimer there? No, but because it was called Arizona, and Latimer's from Arizona, I think he put it in. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, Latimer was there. He was freestyling.
He
over the
freestyled
song.
on it.
Oh yeah, that's right. So Latimer and Julio were there. Yeah, we were super drunk. But yeah, so
Was
it's a song
Scott
called
Crawford at that
Arizona.
one?
What's that?
Was Scott Crawford at that one?
Yeah, Scott
Didn't he
Crawford
sing on one
sings
of
it a
those?
lot better than me. It's a great song. It is a great song.
It is a good song.
Yeah.
All right, we have another super
Awesome.
chat from King Rando. It says, "How much did it hurt when Michael Farr knocked your toenail off in the Nationals?"
Hurt a lot. I think it was Dion Anthony that knocked it off, not Michael Farr, I believe. Dion fucking Anthony, who I miss that guy a lot. He's great too. Scott Crawford and Dion Anthony, 2 semi-trustworthy Australians.
At least a 6.
No, Dion's probably a 5. Scott's a 6.
That's pretty
He's a
good as
solid
far as
6.
Australians go.
That's for an Australian, yeah.
Yeah.
Criminals. Yep.
No question, but we have super chat from Mr. Brown's Goldies. That's Joey from Hawaii. Thank you so much, Joey. New Light
Cool.
CBD says Arlo/Brooke Howard Smith. Thank you for all the inspiration. Shout out Jump Street for bringing the legends out. Well, thank you guys for watching, getting us to 10,000 subscribers, and thank Arlo and Brooke Howard Smith for fucking coming out. This is an incredible and legendary epic episode.
Are they the
Street.
ones that hooked me up at Blading Cup?
Probably. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Joey's the white guy with the dreads. Did someone come up to you like that? Maybe, possibly, maybe not. Next super chat from That Mountain says, I love the idea of OGs. Oh, yeah, this is what Arlo was talking about. I love OGs coming back to grift money from the industry after 2020 skate boom. A real cherry on top. Get your wallets ready, suckers. I wish Arlo was here to address this one. But
No, I'm here. What do you say?
this is the one you were talking about, the super chat you were talking about.
I
Yeah.
was just trying to see, is this new light?
No, that's not it, no.
Oh, because
Yeah, I'm already, I mean,
But yeah, so-
I want to address
What do you
this.
say?
I'm already really, really, really rich, so I'm not trying to grift money off of you
right,
guys.
exactly. Oh,
I like-
that's-
Nice.
Yeah, I can't. It's not focused.
3 realies.
yeah, and
Three realies.
so
Really,
this is-
really,
I do-
really, really rich. Yeah.
I do appreciate this comment because I think that it's it's a sentiment that's out there, and that it's something that I feel like I've talked a lot about, probably even last time I was here, because I kind of tease this. I'm like, oh, Brooke and Arlo, on Jump Street, are we bringing Senate back? Because I can't tell you how many messages, DMs, and everything I get. People are like, oh, you got to bring Senate back. When are you guys going to bring Senate back? And I just have no interest in it. And I've been very vocal about it. I'm just not that interested in who posted that. What was his name?
The
It
mountain.
just says that
That
mountain.
mountain.
That mountain. I don't know the name.
But yeah, so I'm sensitive to that notion of just sort of being an old school rollerblader, trying to grift off of the old days and just sort of being like, hey guys, Senate, remember Senate? Let's, give us some of your money. Especially, because the rollerblading industry has been so small kind of for so long. It's like, we don't need to be like siphoning off that money. But I've always said, I'm always, interested in doing new projects. I've always tried to keep creating and keep introducing stuff. And like, I feel like rollerblading is a creative space. And so creators are an important component to that. And, when he says coming back to rollerblading, it's like, where have I been? I've been here consistently the whole time. I'm always doing stuff.
I was about to say, I don't mean to interrupt you, but if I can come to your defense, because I think it's like
Thank you.
better instead of you having to come to your own defense. Not only have you been here since Senate, but there was Franco Shade and Ghost, and you've always been involved, and it always sporadically throughout the years.
And this is with Viberlux.
And always sporadically throughout the years, you've either been involved in skating in some way or another, and so I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's true. I think often because of the history of bladers being called fruit booters for so long, we could be a bit cynical, and I could be that way myself too. At times, I'm trying to get better, but I can understand where some of that pushback might come from, but I don't think it's right to characterize Arlo as that. And as Brooks says, he's already rich. He doesn't need this shit.
Right.
This is some charity.
Not only that, guys, for context, non-fungible labs right now, the stuff we're doing, the biggest brands in the world are approaching us to try to do things like it's an amazing success story, and we've got proprietary technology that no one else in the world has. I'm really passionate about this because Arlo and I have been best friends since we were 21. I've got this amazing artist who at the moment is having to work in an ad agency and not able to actually do the art that he loves and that we love. And I was like, fuck it, I really want to own some of that art. Here's a great vehicle. And I absolutely believe now that I've seen the power of the communities of NFTs, you watch. This is the first NFT that's going to help bring together people with shared experience. Jump Street will have an NFT because it's just going to flip the way that you guys are able to organize your community.
We have thought about it. Mm-hmm.
It will happen because everyone will eventually be able to find. And when you meet someone, you see their wallet and they've got like a drug receipts and a Jump Street NFT in there, you will know immediately that you share something really strong in common with them, a love for rollerblading. And you might see that it's the digital equivalent of walking past and seeing someone in a Senate shirt in 1998. You're like, fuck it, that's a rollerblader, right? These days, 60%, 70% of our time is lived online. Digital identity is going to be really important. And my sense is that, listen, if this is the first of the NFTs that helps build a community, and if that mountain wants to go and build one that helps, organize his crew, that's great. More power to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I want to be really clear about something too, right? So the reason we're doing this is because we feel like we have an artistic content, or we have artistic content that is cool, right? We have something to offer, right? The world. it's not like Brooke is sitting in New Zealand and he's just, made $24 million off his last two NFT releases. And he's going, boy, what's the next, what's the next big, score I can get? How about that rollerblading market?
This huge rollerblading market we have.
So the idea here is that we're trying to build a big project, and we are bringing rollerblading along with it because we're rollerblading. We love rollerblading. Yeah. It's not like we're saying, hey, we can do this project. Where can we get the biggest score? Oh, it's the rollerblading industry. It's sort of the other way around. We're building a big project, but we want, because of who we are, rollerblading is naturally a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that the fact that rollerblading is the only counterculture activity probably left on the planet is exciting to me, and the fact that people and people are absolutely right. I disappeared because, again, I'm sitting in a country where I don't have if I was still living in the States and I still had Arlo and Mike and B-Love, I would have kept skating. I mean, absolutely. But I'm excited about building a community of rollerbladers, non-rollerbladers, and art fans around Arlo, or helping that, because I just love his art. Great work, Cat.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
cat, I mean, I'm cat butt in the chat.
Yeah. Anyway, but I also it's healthy skepticism. We'll see how it goes, but I've got a gut feeling it's going to be fucking awesome.
And hey, that Mountain, thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about. I saw that he sort of gave in a little bit, said Arlo has been around, so I do appreciate that.
And always welcome to be challenged, because it's an opportunity for us to kind of establish why we're here and why we're doing this. I'm excited. In the last 3 months, I've managed to start reconnecting with a lot of people that I've missed a lot. These are the formative years. Like it always feels.
Thank God for Zoom, huh? Zoom during the pandemic went a long way for people to reconnect who don't live close. Yeah.
Oh wow, you guys! I've recorded it somewhere. We Zoomed, the Hoax guys all Zoomed.
Yeah. What's up with that? Where is that?
Most awesome things.
Arlo mentioned that in his episode too. That he said you most likely recorded it.
But you know what, you guys, so cool. Billy and Austin, you guys really should do it. Y'all should figure out how to do it. Have all 5 of us on and have a proper Hoax reunion on Jump Street. We
are 1,000% down with it. It's just a matter of getting all you guys to be down to do that too. So I'm glad you said that with Brooke on too. Cool. We got to get that going, because I was going to ask you about that too, Brooke, because like I said, last time we had Arlo on, we mentioned that too. And Arlo said that you most likely saved the recording for it of some sort and should put it out.
It's definitely somewhere.
But we'll do one better. We'll recreate the whole thing on Jump Street, hopefully.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll make it an NFT. Really cool. Fuck it. Let's keep moving. We still have super chats.
I think we might need your help in order to accomplish that. Based on, because I've never met B Harden, B Love, and so you guys would have to connect some dots on that. Brian Smith as well.
We'll do it.
I think we could pull Coach in. Coach is pretty close to me now, so we could pull him in. Yeah.
He said he was down with it too.
Awesome.
Let's get it going. We have a super chat from 17BKS who says, main misconception about New Zealand, also the best John Bling story.
Main misconception about New Zealand.
I resize this.
I don't know what the main misconception about New Zealand would be. Like the sheep sex?
What?
Maybe, is that right? There's that's Australians talk a lot about how we have sex with sheep. I don't know what the main is. And
I never heard that.
John Bling is you.
Huh?
And that's a John Bling story is an Arlo
John Bling,
Eisenberg question, right?
I don't know. I thought that was to you, but is that for Arlo? I don't know.
Who's John Bling? John Bergeron?
I'm guessing, right?
Is it?
I'm guessing.
Yes,
I never
absolutely.
knew that was his nickname.
John Bling is John Bergeron.
I never knew that was his nickname.
Yes.
No, that sounds like a nickname that Jonathan Bergeron gave himself.
It probably is. Yeah,
it is.
Rap super name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Yeah.
I have. It's just sort of a silly anecdote. It always tickles me. I don't know if anyone else cares for it, but we were on tour, probably in, maybe we were in Switzerland or Germany or something, and so we were with John Bergeron, who speaks French, and one of the girl skaters we were with was Salima, and we were all ordering at a restaurant, and they'd been looking at the menu, and I think Salima said, "I'll have the chicken shrimps," and John started laughing and made fun of her. He said, "They're not called chicken shrimps; they're called chicken stripes."
another great anecdote.
Is that not a good story?
That's perfect. No, that's perfect.
So
That's
it's
perfect.
all about
It's
language.
perfect.
It's too native. It's an American. Forget it. I don't have to try to explain it. It's not a good story.
That was good enough. That was good enough.
That's perfect.
We'll
There's
take
also
it.
a time where I saw him kick two people like in the head and like ruin their lives, and we had to. But
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
it's
can
not
leave
good
that
to
one
know.
alone. Yeah, we can leave that one alone.
That one sounds juicy. Okay.
The human Terminator.
Yeah.
We have a super chat from Mr. Joey Scanella who says, "Crypto, NFTs, the metaverse, e-commerce is the future,
Yeah,
and is the
it
now."
really
Love
is.
it. This is my Joey's my crypto buddy and our buddy from back home. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
We'll see.
metaverse is crazy. Mark Zuckerberg is like the worst thing about the metaverse, but the metaverse itself is pretty amazing. We're seeing some pretty cool shit happen. I'm being told by your cousin. I'm being told by Brandon not to dismiss your ad agency. Sorry, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not right. It did sound a little worse than it is. It's not like I have to work at an ad agency. I'm working with my dad at our agency. So we have an agency here in Dallas that my dad's had for 50 years. It's awesome.
oh shit.
It is awesome. Yeah.
But Brooke is right. It's not exactly working on your own art, right? 24/7. So that there's something really appealing about that as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. We have one more super chat for now from Mere Mortal who says, "Brooke, what are your thoughts on the New Zealand blade scene, old and current?"
I mean, I'm so disconnected from it, and I think I mean that's a very real thing. Like I absolutely, when I came back, I was kind of, obviously I had a genuine disconnection because despite Arlo saying that and it was reasonably civil. The last stuff, like the last year or so of my rollerblading was like really heartbreaking, like being kicked out, like losing all the contact with all the immediate friendships. I was pretty badly injured. And then being sued out of Senate. I kind of just wanted to put everything behind me, like really put it behind me. And so I've got good friends here that are rollerbladers. I'll tell you my connection with the sport now. Like Instagram feeds me a lot of rollerblading. I love watching it. So not necessarily New Zealand, but like I watch a lot more rollerblading than I ever had now. The lockdown, I guess, has done that. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys are seeing?
I think
Like,
so.
Yeah.
it's the number one thing on my Explore. Like my Explore is just full of rollerblading. I've got favorite rollerbladers now that are obviously young kids that are just fucking insane.
Who are some of your favorites
And-
now?
That actually leads into one of our next questions. Jimmy the Giant says, "Who is your favorite blader at the moment?"
Demetrius George is fucking amazing.
Is it
So,
actually
like,
Jimmy the Giant?
what's that?
Yeah, Jimmy the
It is.
Giant.
You know who that is?
Who's
Who's
that?
that?
Yes.
He's a huge YouTuber. He's the one that did the big history of rollerblading and has
Oh.
taken up rollerblading.
Oh.
He's
cool.
a parkour dude who does a lot of action sports content on the internet. I mean, on YouTube, and he's really great. And when I saw the rollerblading piece he did, I was blown away by it. I couldn't believe that he wasn't a rollerblader. Like it was,
Wow.
he totally got it. And even the footage that he included on YouTube, like it made skating look so good. Like you could tell he had an eye for style and like good tricks. It was just great. And so I've actually messaged him a little bit back and forth in the DMs. But yeah, he's been I think a great advocate for rollerblading.
You told me I haven't watched that yet, but you said I have to watch it.
Yeah, you got to
right?
watch it. It's really good.
But yeah, am I saying Demetrius George's name right? Is that how you say
Yes.
his name?
Yeah.
Demetrius? And I just he's just like everything that like
Demetrius George.
George.
Oh, Demetrius, no way, sick.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Great
I love
skater.
that. But like I mean if Carlos Benowski, like I still get fed like guys that I even know, like that are from the old days. Like,
Yeah.
because there's still a lot of that footage that it's making it like, my favorite skaters in the day were the Broscos of this world that are just like, power. And so Demetrius
He's still
is like
there.
that, like,
He's still doing it.
nonstop. Yeah. He's a monster. I don't know what he's like as a person, but it's pretty awesome watching him skate.
He's a very nice guy. He just moved to LA, so huge shout out Alex Broskow. Hope you enjoy LA.
Oh no, I know what Alex is like as a person.
Oh, okay.
He's kind of the end of my era, was the beginning of Alex's. I mean Demetrius. I don't know what he's like as a person.
Demetrius is
awesome.
a very nice guy as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we got some more questions, and I actually have. We're not going to keep you for too long. We're coming up on like 2.5 hours now, so I think we'll just take a few more questions. I have a personal question that I wanted to ask that I didn't get to, and then we can let you guys go. I'm sure people might be getting hungry and thirsty at this point. But Matthew Rice says, you talked about the origin story of the Royale. Any other trick creation names you can speak on?
I mean, so many of them. It was so cool. Like that.
Did he tell the part
creation,
where he wanted? Did Brooke tell the part where he wanted to name the fast slide the Royale?
No.
Yeah, because it was the same day, right? It was the same day.
Right, because we basically invented them at the same time, and he wanted to call the fast slide the Royale, but I kind of wanted to call it the fast slide, so he named the Royale the Royale.
Yeah,
but he wanted to name something the Royale.
Nice.
There were days like when we would be like literally skating the same ledge, and like Arlo would just pop something out, and we'd create a couple of tricks just there and then. It was really, really cool. It's amazing. So no one ever agreed. Like, here's two things. One, zero spin, which is in skiing, I named that. So naming something is really important. It was just going backwards, like fakey. Skiers never believe that. And then flat spin. Also didn't invent it, but I named that. And no one ever agrees to that.
It's funny you mentioned that, because recently I read an article in a ski magazine that talked about like the history of how it was influenced by rollerblading in the early days, but it kind of became like a taboo thing in the skiing industry because they were kind of getting a little bit of trouble from snowboarders, so they were doing the most they could to distance themselves from like other sports that were taboo. So I think rollerblading was generally accepted, in other things that we could just leave this alone because that's going to be a problem. But I didn't know that zero spin, like, because they do have a lot of tricks that come from what we do and skateboarding as well. But the zero spin is an interesting one. That's good call on that one.
It's a cool name.
I like zero spin. Yeah,
I didn't know that was
cool.
a skiing thing either.
Good
What's
one.
that?
Good call.
I didn't know that was a ski trick either, like a ski influence name. I didn't know that.
It's cool that roller skaters now, because roller skating is having its own like resurgence in popularity and exposure and stuff, and it's all largely driven by women. But to see them like adopting so many rollerblading tricks is really cool, and like just straight up acknowledging kind of the relationship there and the cross-pollination of the tricks and the movements. Whereas, because you can imagine almost any other time, even if it was probably just 5 years ago, just like the skiers, they probably would have been really reluctant to be doing rollerblading tricks or to use rollerblading names. They would have called them skateboard tricks. We're doing Smith grinds. Even as rollerbladers, we almost did that. We almost named all of our tricks skateboarding names. But now it is such kind of a different climate for rollerblading and acceptance that there's they just openly embrace the kind of the relationship, and it's really cool.
Wait,
it's a really. So you go.
No, we have Scott is in the chat right now, and
Scott
Crawford. He says that is bullshit. I was there, and sorry, mate. I named the flat spin.
Yeah,
I thought I named the flat spin.
What did we establish earlier? At least once or twice in this, and this is Scott Crawford, who I said he is. So after Steve Irwin died, Scott is the most trustworthy Australian. I said like 6 out of 10, but that's the kind of bullshit they'll try to pull. I mean, these are the people that try to tell you they invented the Royale.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
All right, I think we'll take a couple more questions, and then we'll leave it at that. Dope Tag says, question to Brooke: have you heard about Brandon Drummond? We guess not.
Oh, is he a skater?
Yeah,
he does like skate content.
Okay.
Is he from New Zealand?
No, but dude, I'll start you. Like, guys, I'm really excited about being reintroduced like more formally back into this. It was a huge part of my life. And I like I said, I love watching it. I think it's fucking amazing. I mean, I like watching the people that go fast. There is definitely a movement of people that are skating too slow still. it makes me sad. Those people stop skating
Fast
so
is
slow.
good. Faster the better.
That's
Yeah.
interesting because back in the day, I feel like skating fast wasn't that big of a thing.
No, just Carlos and Alex and people like that.
I'm saying even before that, like 90s.
Yeah,
Because it went through skating went through a long period where it was so trick oriented that it was really just about what was happening while you were grinding. That
Yeah.
didn't matter so much how you got there, what you did afterwards.
Yeah.
But now skating has definitely been brought back into the forefront where it really matters, the movement and all that.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Very cool moment. Genetically modified skeptic says, Arlo, any skeptic tattoo NFTs on the horizon?
You know, thank you, Drew. Drew is another huge YouTuber, right? But his content is skeptically based. And he is someone who I actually happened to find organically, just found his YouTube content because I'm a consumer of skeptic content. And then one day he was wearing an Intuition t-shirt on one of his YouTube videos. I'm like, what the heck? And so we've connected, and he runs a skate night in Austin where my daughter lives. And so I'm trying to get her to go out to that. But so yeah, Drew is an active rollerblader. He is an uber skeptic content creator. So he has a lot of respect for me in that area. And that's something that we haven't even talked about. But last time I was on Jump Street, the money that was raised, I wanted to go to a skeptic foundation. And
That's right.
skepticism is just because it's such an important part of who I am, and the things that I think are important. It's well baked into this NFT project. In fact, let me look and see if any of the ones on the website. But we've, the characters have all kinds of Easter eggs and hidden gifts and surprises, and there's a lot of references to rollerblading hidden all throughout. There's references to a lot of the content that Brooke and Non-Fungible Labs have created. There's a lot of references to skepticism. So all the things that I care about. Oh, there's a lot of references to Tyler's art. There's just a lot of things hidden in these NFTs, and it's really fun and cool. And skepticism, more than just being hidden in the art, it's also, the message, the mentality. I always say it, and I don't want to sound like I'm just sort of beating a dead horse here, but critical thinking, the skepticism, I think that they're such important tools that they're really going to be, I think, forefront in this project.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
cool.
which I'm really excited about, like the idea.
Oh yeah.
Of promoting
So on the
critical
just so you know, I just confirmed it. But yes, on the website there is a yellow tile, and the character, she's a little tab, is holding a candle that says ECRE, which stands for Extraordinary Claims Require Extraordinary Evidence, and it's a quote basically from Carl Sagan. But yeah, it's sort of a skeptical axiom or maxim. And yes, Drew, to answer your question, there will be a lot of skeptical content in the NFT project.
Cool.
Very, very cool. Carl Sagan is the man.
And
I
check
can relate.
and Drew is the man. So check out Genetically Modified Skeptic on YouTube.
Sick.
I got to give respect to all my skeptics. Being from New York, I feel like we're all skeptics anyway. We don't believe anything. They're always trying to hustle something else. So as a New Yorker, you're already a cynic. You're already a skeptic, just as is. But all right, cool. So check that out. I think we're good on taking questions. I got one more question for you before we. And
have
I'm
one
not
more
sure if
super chat.
Austin. Okay,
We have
take
one
the
more
super chat.
It's hang on a second. Boom. Oh yeah, I thought you did your question already. No, okay. So super chat. Last super chat is from Middab1, who says, "What happened with Tom Servo?"
Oh wow.
Vicky was saying that he fell apart. Arlo's mum was in the chat and said that he fell apart. I don't know what happened.
He was at the skate because we had skate park. I mean, we had skate memorabilia at Eisenberg Skate Park for
I see.
and the skate park was there for 15 years. But Tom Servo was a candy dispensing machine, and I don't think he was meant to live that long and to be thrown into an RV, travel across the country, be shipped out to Texas, still have to sort of tough it out in a skate park. It's not always clean. There's skaters, running past it. So yeah, poor Tom Servo probably broke down in the end, but he had a long, good run as far as candy dispensing machines go.
Yeah,
Probably one of the biggest legacies in any candy dispensing machine.
Yeah.
A candy machine dispensing circles, they still talk about the legend of Tom Servo.
They do. That's what I've been told.
Uh-huh.
He's still in the back hallways of the candy rooms down in the
Yeah.
warehouse. The legend continues of Tom
legend.
Servo.
All right, Billy.
Oh,
Sorry, there's one more super chat.
No, we do have another super chat in.
Yes, this is a good question.
Brooke, have you top sold a handrail since the Brain Fear Gone clip?
I don't think so, but I tell you what, I believe I could straight away.
There
That's
you
the
go.
kind of confidence I have. That was
I love
the
that
one
comment.
trick. The one trick that I feel like I could always like just pull out. Because as far as I can tell, you just jump above the rail and go like this, and you either die or it locks and you go.
And Brooke, soul plates are so much bigger now that it'd be even easier
Oh, yeah.
than you remember it.
I like I got to
Easy
tell him
kidding.
that.
Yeah,
That-
done.
that-
I mean, it's probably like one of the joys of all of this is that if I do come to South by Southwest in Austin, we will definitely go for a skate. I'll be terrible, but
You guys gotta film
Arlo
that.
and I
That
will
has-
be there. So,
That has to be on
Well,
social
Drew
media.
will host us.
done.
That clip in Brain for Gone was something that.
Oh,
was,
you know what's cool? If you, I was gonna say, I'm sorry, it's tough for
No,
like
you're
four
good.
people, but if you do end up going to South by Southwest, and I'm not sure if it is this year that you're thinking about considering going 2022, but that is just actually before the Spring Blade Cup. So maybe if you have some time, you're already in the States, you can come
Done.
by. The Blade Cup is like an OG reunion, and I'm sure everyone would come out hearing that you're in town, and it would be quite an event. So if you're already in the States, consider that. That's April 28th. It's just a free plug for the
Done.
Blade Cup.
Sounds
April
great.
28th to May 1st, Spring Blade Cup. Should be cool.
I
That's
bet
cool.
John Julio would actually, we could turn a whole event into you doing a topside soul at the Blade Cup.
Build a
I'll just
handrail
do
just
it.
for him.
I'll just do it again and again. The
Uh-huh.
last time I skated with, I know that Mike was there. Arlo, I'm pretty sure you were there. We went to that skate park in 2006. Is that right? And I could do the topsoul straight away on a ramp. Like once every like 4 times it would lock in. So I think rollerblading's easy is what I'm saying. That's why I gave that up. It's just too easy.
It's gotten easier.
I was gonna
Make-
say.
Make
It's
it
as hard
sport
as you
that's
make
hard
it,
and I'll
like
do it.
anything else.
I was gonna say what I loved about that Brain for Gone clip that he's talking about, where you guys both, it was both of you back to back, right? Arlo, you sold it, and Brooke, you top sold it back to back.
Yeah.
In Brain for Gone,
Yeah.
and that was like 2000, 2001. I remember at that time, everybody was like, all of us were like, oh shit, the OGs are coming out, and you could still like top solar rail or solar rail at that age, but you guys were probably like 25 or
Exactly.
Yeah, like that's like
we would
babies
be like
now.
we were like 35 probably, but yeah.
No,
I mean,
no way.
30.
Oh no, it's you guys were definitely in
Yeah.
your 20s then, and it was just like
Don't be so sure.
you just said you.
No, if it was
Yeah,
2006,
you just said you were 38.
is Brain Fear
No,
gone 2006?
Brain for Gone was
No,
like
I'm
2000.
48.
2000.
48. Yes. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So still, that's like a lot of us are way older than that now, and it's just funny how
Yeah.
times have changed so much. And we thought that was an OG then. It's
Yeah.
the times change. I think Mushroom Blading made that a point when they reposted that clip like 10 years ago or something. But that was just, I'm glad that they mentioned that because you guys had back-to-back tricks and Brain for Gone.
Cool.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Okay, I think we're good for taking questions. We've taken quite a lot of questions. I just want to bring one more up before I ask you guys to say your shout out, sponsors, last things. But we talked about where the future of the world is going to go, the future of NFT, the metaverse, e-commerce, the 60-70% of our lives. 10 years, it's going to be 100% of our lives. We're going to be in the matrix. We're going to be hoping for Neo to come through and change everything. But before that happens, where do you see the future of skating going? Because I'm curious about your position on it all, especially having had been a part of it so deeply, gone on the outside, found success in other areas, have been aware of seeing the resurgence in skating, at least online. Do you see this as something that's more of a bump because of COVID or lockdowns, or is this something more long lasting? What do you think, just as a fun question? You know, I know that you might not have much skin in the game as it once was, but where do you see the future of skating going? Do you think it becomes something that goes, or it's just a flash in the pan because of lockdown?
No, I think, well, firstly, I think that thanks to people like yourselves that are building compelling content and the connection that people are building, there's such strong connection between people that have spent this much time doing something. You know, it's like a huge part of people's lives. And these communities are only going to get stronger. They're going to get stronger because the connectivity is improving. I think creative industries, full stop, we're automating all other jobs out of existence. So creative expression, whether it be the content you guys are making or Demetrius or Arlo's art, those are the areas that are going to excel and kind of blossom, and technology's making that possible. So that's kind of cool. In terms of rollerblading, like I said, if we are honest about counterculture, it's the only counterculture left in sport. Like, it's the only thing where your identity comes, like, for so long has come at a cost, not for any real reason outside of just a bunch of jocks decided to kind of create this movement against it, and in doing so, solidified skateboarding as the opposite of a counterculture, and rollerblading became this amazingly interesting pastime that, you know, you have to be so passionate to have got through all of this. It's just an amazing baptism that I think has built this real strength in the community. The problem with it is, like, it was disparate. You know, people were so separated, and COVID has brought people back together again. The content has got there, and like I said, like, I hate Zuckerberg, but he is definitely feeding me a lot of great fucking rollerblading on his channels.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Very cool. What about Arlo? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, sure. I always have thoughts about it. You guys probably asked me last time, but I do have. I think there's kind of, even since the last time we talked, there's sort of a different even perspective on it now. But earlier in this podcast, which now probably means about 2 hours ago, but we talked about the meteoric rise of rollerblading, and of Senate, and how I sort of corrected you. I said, no, we weren't surprised at all. I knew rollerblading was going to be huge. The only thing was surprising that meteoric rise stopped, that it didn't make it all the way to the moon. And I think the only thing that was holding it back was cultural, right? Was sort of these manufactured attitudes that rollerblading was somehow lame or gay, as people used to say, skateboarders used to say. And now that those attitudes have kind of gone away and have been corrected, and people are starting to be open to it and embrace it, all the things that made rollerblading destined for greatness that are built into it. It's fast and fun, and you can use it for transportation. You can use it for community. You can use it for sport and stunt. I mean, it's just everything. Listen, riding bikes, riding skateboards, and ice skating basically are like sort of have always been around as like kind of like, you know, sort of obvious, intuitive forms of transportation, recreational fun. Once you could ice skate on dry land and go anywhere, I mean, that was a no-brainer. That's going to be huge, and that's what happened with rollerblades. The only thing that stopped that progression, that meteoric rise, was cultural attitudes. And I think even since our last conversation, that has changed. This is the first time since rollerblading's fall that we can say that the cultural attitude toward rollerblading is different, significantly different. You can feel it. And so with that out of the way, then boom, there's no stopping it. Rollerblading can continue on to its rightful course, to its rightful place as, as one of the major action sports.
Those are all great.
Let's go. Love that.
If that's what you want, that's yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no.
Action,
if that's
action sports is too limiting. I didn't know what else to call it, but whatever major, as
just
one
sports
of the
in general,
staple sort of recreational activities, like riding a bike. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I don't mean just an action sport. It's bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And ultimately, I know what you're saying, Brooke. Like, if that's what you wanted, but for me, ultimately, I just want to see the people that have put like X amount of work and be able to just continue to work in skating. And I think that the thing that affords that is them having the ability to make money or be compensated for that work. So for me, that's a way in order to like build the culture. That's a necessary thing. And I'm hopeful as well. And I think it's at a good time for skating, for opportunity where the eyes are on it and good people are being a part of it. And really cool things are being built. And there are a lot of still people here being a part of it, like Arlo's been for a while. And Brooke, it's great to see you coming back into everything and showing your face. And it'll be great to see you at the Blade Cup. It'll be incredible. And I'm sure your old friends would come out and it'd be a hell of an event. So I want to say thank you for taking the time to spend talking with us. It's been an absolute honor.
Yes.
We are freaking coming on 3 hours. The only thing I would say before we go is, Brooke or Arlo, if you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, the last things you wanted to say, I would invite you to do so now.
Yeah, well, my biggest one is that I want to continue, even though we've been going for 3 hours. Some people might have some more questions. I do want to continue this. I want to start to build this community. And so drugreceipts.com, there's a link there to join the Discord. And there is, right, Arlo? We've got that in there?
It's in It's in the video description.
And that Discord is going to be the start of a community that I hope means that we can start these conversations a lot easier, and like it'd be really, really great. So I want to thank you guys for inviting me on. I was pretty upset. By day 3 of Chris Edwards, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And
we got to do day 3 of Brooke.
Yeah. Well, 3 hours.
Getting close.
We got day 2 of Arlo pretty much.
Yeah. So I know. Listen, I love it. I really do love what you guys are doing, and the surge in connectivity is a lot because of you two guys. So you should be very, very proud. And Arlo, David Eisenberg, the highlight so far of 2021 for me has been reconnecting with Mark Shays and Arlo Eisenberg and B Love, and it's
in that
just
order?
so. Yes, and no. Yes, in that order. 100%.
Just making sure.
100%. And and it's just so exciting to me that I might get let back in the country after 30 years in the
Let me
world.
make a call.
So exciting.
Yeah. Don't get Arlo on the phone.
to
Don't get
INS.
Arlo on the phone. Arlo, your middle name's David?
Yeah, now you know.
And now we know. Now the whole world
Yeah.
knows. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank y'all.
Thank you for taking the time out. Everybody, thank you for watching. Like this video if you haven't. Please subscribe to the channel. We're at 10,000 subscribers now. Let's get to 100. Next stop's 100,000. Let's do this. Let's get that
do it.
silver plaque that they give YouTubers and shit like that. Everybody, check out drugreceipts.com. Check out the Discord. Join Brooke, Arlo, and Tyler.
Yeah, and we're gonna
there.
a huge secret that we have not ever told anyone before on the Discord. It's been mind blowing.
Something about
to
Senate.
see over there. It's so crazy. It's this crazy Senate secret.
All right, everyone's got to check out the Discord for that.
I'm curious now. Good point. Good sell point.
Oh, it worked.
It's amazing. We'll see you over there, guys.
Now you got to make up a secret to tell everybody.
Yeah, see y'all.
All right, thank you, everybody. See you guys. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you.